What up, guys, and welcome in to season 5. We're finally here of Maybe I'm the Crazy One podcast. I'm your host, as always, Alex Chandler, and we are joined today by our co-hosts, Aaron Stout and Eric Rodriguez. What's going on, my guys?
What's good with it?
What up?
What up? What up? I'm so excited we're back. Family, we are so sorry that it took so long for us to get back. We've had a busy life. Eric, should we let them in on what's going on?
Go ahead, buddy.
All right. Well, Eric and I have a lot of exciting things in our lives, but nothing more exciting right now than our families are going to be introducing two new co-hosts to our podcast family, in the size of miniature humans. Our wives are both pregnant at the same time, and so our worlds have been a little chaotic. And so that's the reason for our delay this year by a few months. We are so excited to be back, though, and we're going to be with you all summer, hopefully, talking about the NBA playoffs and then also looking into OTAs and how the season starts. We might be a little busy when it comes down to the start of the NFL season. Not going to lie to you. There's going to be some chaos happening in both of our households, and so we may miss Erica an episode. Honestly, maybe missing me an episode. We might drop some episodes. We'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, we're going to do our best to be able to provide this content to you as efficiently and as effectively as we can. And part of that also means that we've added a producer to our team. Everybody, welcome in Brendan, our producer. Brendan, you want to say a couple words to welcome yourself to the show?
What's up, guys? I'm the youngest one out of the four of us in this room. I'm only the ripe age of 20.
Hey,
Wow.
You
College
just a
student.
baby. What's a baby?
Uh, Currently a sophomore at the University of Central Missouri studying communications. I do a bit of sports broadcasting on the side. Also do a podcast of my own, Hawks Talk. Check it out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get it. And then
Stealing our thunder.
yeah,
Hey, no, that's a
what
W.
kind
That's a
of
W
plug is
plug.
this?
Let the man go. W plug. Keep going,
Keep
Brendan.
going.
then that's in conjunction with I'm the director of broadcasting for a collegiate summer ball team that will be producing over 10 games on ESPN Plus this summer. So we're super stoked about that.
Hey,
W.
we're so excited to have you, Brendan. And you also bring some credibility to us, honestly, when it comes to the production side. As most of you know, I've been trying to run this myself for quite some time. Eric's pitched in a little bit of help when he can, to give me some ideas and headsight. We used Chat GPT for a little bit. That was bad, guys.
That was
Uh,
a take.
it was a take. I used Canva a couple times to create some graphics, and but no, now we're going to pass that all over to producer Brendan. He doesn't know this yet, but he's going to be our statistician. So anytime that we need something looked up, instead of us, clinking on our keyboards while we talk to you, he's going to be the one that gets it to us. We won't get it till the end of the episode, of course, but he's going to be here the same way that Debo is for Pat McAfee, effectively. So whenever we call for him, whenever we need him, he's there. Um, but man, I'm so excited that we're here. Let's go ahead and jump right on into this. Guys, we have to start with the most important thing that's happening near the end of the season here. So as of this recording, which is Tuesday at 9:30-ish, April 21st,
Central
we
Time.
Central Time. We know a little bit about the playoffs and what that looks like, but we're gonna discuss a little bit of how the season ended. Uh, so, in case you've been living under a rock for the last 4 or 5 years, or as the kids would say, 6 or 7 years, they the NBA created a 65 game rule to curb tanking effectively. If you guys remember, the old time Spurs would sit players on at national, I think there was one game that the Spurs specifically sat their entire starting lineup when they were expected to be starting for a nationally televised game, back in like 2017, 2018 under Pop. It was Kawhi's last year, whichever year that was. And they like sat everybody, and it became a big deal. Obviously Kawhi during the 2019 run with the Raptors was load managing like crazy. And so after that, they created the 65 game rule, which really hadn't had an issue until this year. And I say it hadn't had an issue until this year because we had players like Cade Cunningham, who questionably, or arguably had a all NBA first team season. Personally, on my own list, not that we're going to do those today, he was second team. I did have Jaylen Brown ahead of him still, but he was still high quality player this year, deserved all of the potential accolades, top five potential MVP finish as well for leading the Pistons to 60 wins and the number one seed in the East. He had a collapsed lung in game 61. Is that right, Aaron? You remember that? Yeah.
I believe that's correct.
Okay. And so with that, he became ineligible for end of season awards. Now, he ended up coming back, playing the last three games of the season, getting to 64 games, and getting an exemption effectively from the 65 game rule. He had to appeal for that, but he was able to finally get that. I believe they used the game in which he went out in because he didn't play fully the full time length that he had to. But he ended up being eligible. Otherwise, he would not have been eligible. Other players that were potentially ineligible were Luka Doncic, who had a hamstring injury on April 2nd against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And that led to him only being at 64 games for the season. He did also get an exception because he went to Slovenia in December to go see the birth of his daughter. He was gone for 3 days, somehow missed two games during that time. He got that time basically made up. It was considered in his appeal, though, the 16th or the 17 games or 16 technical, 17th suspension, however you want to look at that, against the Washington Wizards late in the season. That was considered in his appeal. However, they ended up saying because you missed two games, would have been two over. We're going to go ahead and grant it to you. However, a player that did not get that exception was Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards finished, I think, at 63 games on the season, had a knee issue, was sick as well, did not get the exemption, although he played more minutes than other players that did end up eligible because they hit the games. Looking at you, Defensive Player of the Year, Victor Wembanyama. Um, and so my question to you guys is what are your feelings on the 65 game rule? Should it be abolished? Should it be amended? How would you fix the issue with tanking? Because clearly teams are still tanking. They're still sitting players. So it's not really curbing that. I think we had the worst level of tanking that we've had in years this year. I think the last 2 weeks of the season, all the teams that didn't make the play-in tournament were all eliminated for the final 2 weeks, which rarely happens. We at least have a fight down the runway to see who gets to that 10 spot. And while the East was, the 10 seed in the East, which I think was the Heat, had a positive winning record at 42 and 40, Aaron?
Mhm.
Okay. I know you were
Sounds
either
about right.
43 and 39 or 41 and 41.
Yeah.
You were in that area, but you guys had
Yeah.
above a 500 record. The 10 seed in the West was the Warriors at 32 and 50. And so, like, the Warriors did not deserve really to be in the play-in. I know they did end up winning a game, sending the Clippers home. Unfortunately for you, Eric, great for the Thunder. But what are your thoughts? We'll go alphabetical order here. So, Aaron, what were your
What
thoughts on that game? Or not the
oh,
game, not the game, sorry, the rule.
the rule? I think at minimum it needs to be amended. I mean, I guess like trying to find the best way to phrase this because like I might be like aggressive, but I feel like with how bad it was this year, that maybe teams need to either start losing draft picks or get start having to get lower picks or just like whether or not they have to forfeit a pick just altogether to like show an aggressive stance towards not tanking or sitting players for load management to get the point across. It's people may not like it, but for those teams that aren't tanking or and are still doing things the right way, there might like you guys could obviously have a better idea, but like if you want to like basically like nip it in the bud, because like you said, this is the first time like something like this has happened for I guess a while, but if it happens once, it'll happen again. Like history does repeat itself as we all talk about. It may not be consecutively, like so it may not happen next season to the degree it did this season, but doesn't mean it won't happen again. So I'm not opposed to having harsh sanctions because fines will just be paid uh, from owners. They're like, okay, we'll just shell out the money, whatever it is. But you lose draft picks, and then that in turn will make you lose significantly more money because you're losing a potential, game or, franchise changing player because you decide to do what teams are doing like they have this season.
So I do like your idea of sanctioning teams. I think you're talking more for the teams that were tanking, correct? As opposed to players in the 65 game rule
Yeah,
era.
I was just touching on like one basis for it now. Like in terms
Yeah.
for the rewards, I would do more so minutes than games because I did bring up or uh the minutes for the players that what they've played and like who was eligible. So I want to say there's around like 20 names on the list, and the only person that was this was prior to Doncic and Cade getting uh,
Eligibility.
their eligibility, changed. So you have Luca at 2289, Cade was at 2172, and those were the top minutes by players under the 65 game rule that were not eligible prior to everything.
Yep.
And at the bottom of the list of those players is Wemby at 1866.
Not even in the
It,
top 100 in minutes, by the way, in the league. In a league that has no, sorry, not even 900, 450 players. He's not even in the top 25% effectively of minutes played.
so, and then because you did touch on him, Anthony Edwards not being eligible, he was fourth on the list at 2137. And I did do the math already. That's 271 minute difference between him and Victor Wembanyama, which
And it was a
is
matter of like 3 games difference.
yeah, and that's absolutely insane that someone that played 271 less minutes is eligible for an award over someone who has those 271 extra minutes and is not.
The other
So,
thing with Wimby is that he gets extra credit for the NBA Cup that doesn't go towards any stats because he played in
mhm,
that final game that nobody
yeah.
else got. And so he really also didn't even play 65 in the regular season. He played 64 plus the NBA Cup. Now, granted, it's a game. They had to play it. They tried to win it. They got their butts beat by the Knicks, but absolutely a part of the equation I've considered too. So continue.
So, yeah. So part of it. So it was a two-part for me. So like maybe we lessen the games, but like add minutes and make those minutes matter to where you're not playing 20 minutes a game or, whatever the case may be, to where, maybe it's 55 games and then insert however many minutes you think, whether it's like, 1900 minutes, 2000 minutes. But I would just say that it definitely needs to be amended in some way, shape, or form. Like I definitely don't think it can continue the way it is with being strictly games. It has to be somewhat minutes related because you at that point too, because one of the big talking points too is about. I remember the quote from Kobe about like why he played through injuries, and I'm not saying people need to sit there and like sit there and sacrifice their bodies, but you have the way the economy is, and I know everyone talks about that, but like people sometimes go to see these players play, and it doesn't matter if it's, game 10 of the season or game 73 in the season. Like maybe there's just a certain point where someone's able to, take their family to a game, and then all of a sudden you have a situation like the Spurs, and they decide to sit all of their players, and then You're like, okay, you pay a few $100s to take your family to a game, and then they don't get to see their favorite player and or players play, and that's not a great business model, in my opinion.
And I'm not gonna. This is a topic for a different show. I don't want to beat the Wimby drum today. Unfortunately, he ended up getting an injury tonight in their game that they're playing as we record this. And so I'll stay away from attacking him tonight. But when you have players like Kawhi Leonard who are playing more minutes than Wimby, you know, but Wimby is eligible, and Kawhi ironically got to 65 games and became eligible. But like Pascal Siakam, for example, Pascal Siakam on a bad team played 2,056 minutes, 57 minutes, and he only played 62 games. He's an ineligible player. Another ineligible player who played all 82 games because of the way that they factor games was Bruce Brown. He appeared in
That was a
all
huge one.
Huge one. He appeared in all 82 games, but he's not eligible for sixth man of the year because he didn't play at least 20 minutes in every game. And so what do we do there? So I do agree with the minutes restriction. Eric had, I think, another interesting idea of how you can kind of resolve the issue because I think a lot of times why these higher end players are sitting is because of the toll and tax that we have in the game today versus the like the 80s, 90s, and even the aughts, the 2000s, is that the game has been spread out so much further. And there's been studies done where you're moving 3 to 5 miles per game now that you're moving across the court, when before it was like a mile and a half to 2.5 miles. And so when you're moving 200 to 300% more per game, there's a lot more tax on that body. And we're asking them to be incredible athletes. This isn't plumbers. This isn't washing machine fixers that, Michael Jordan, Eric's GOAT, went against. It's actual athletes. It's guys that can jump and hit the top of the stanchion, not just the backboard, the backside of the stanchion.
Yeah.
And you got guys that are 8.5 feet tall, it seems like these days, with 12-foot wingspans. A condor like that should be able to play more than 1,837 minutes or whatever it was for Wemby. And so
1866.
1866, sorry, I was a game
No, you're
off.
good. No, you're good.
And,
Uh,
and so, Eric, I think your suggestion is to shorten the season. Am I wrong?
yeah. So kind of to back off of like Aaron's like a little bit, like I like the idea of taking drafts, but like that's probably not going to happen. I feel like they could probably penalize where they're at on the draft. If if they have a lottery pick, like top heavy lottery, maybe if they're tanking, we kind of, and they get caught tanking, like there's like evidence that they're doing it. Maybe they can drop them back further instead of having them have like a top, 20 lottery pick. I like that idea. I think we can't just take draft picks away. But I think I think the number of games needs to drop down and the minutes need to change as well. But I think if, like you said, I think minimizing the season will get us more production out of the players, out of like people who are load management, like that. You're just not going to, no matter what rule they go ahead and place, um they're gonna find a way, right? They could change the 65 game rule. We're gonna have another prediction, like another situation where something's happening. It's a revolving issue that's just always been, and I think it's because of how long the season is. It needs to be shorter. I think we'll get better play, and I think we'll get better, kind of how Aaron was saying. Families go out to want to see the superstars, go see LeBron, but oh look, he's not playing this game because he's load management. He's exhausted. He's playing minutes. He's whatever, played so many games in a row. He needs a day off. I mean, that, of how long the season, that's just how it's worked. And I think if we shorten it, we can see more production out of players. I think we'll get a better season, better playoffs, less injuries. Um, and like people, I feel like people would just enjoy it better.
So I don't disagree. I think so. This was put out in I think LeBron even was the one that said it. He was like, 40 minutes works for college basketball, 40 minutes for men's and women's, 40 minutes works for international basketball, 40 minutes works for Olympic basketball. Why does it not work for the NBA? Why do we have to play 48 minutes? And to that effect, I don't want to necessarily see us, just have a standard 40-minute game. I think 48 minutes is still the right time that we play,
Yeah.
but I do think maybe there are too many games. The other thing that we can do without changing the season, without changing draft picks, without changing the way that things work is just changing the criteria, right? And
Hmm.
it could even be a more nuanced version. So I just did the math on this. Here in a couple of years, we're going to have 32 teams in the league, with the two expansion teams going to Seattle and Vegas, more than likely. There are 15 eligible players on the team, and then they have three two-way contract guys, so 18 total players. Let's assume those two-way contract guys are never going to qualify. And typically for those players that end up becoming rotation mainstays, that could be sixth man of the year, most improved player, whatever it may be, they're going to rotate into the top half of their contract, or not their contract, their rotations anyway, and their contract is going to be converted to a regular NBA contract, kind of like a Lou Dort, just to put a face to an idea, right? Lou Dort started as a two-way player, has become overall a really good defensive player, even though our good friend and friend of the show, John, would tell you that he's a dirty player. Um, Neither here nor there. What you can do is set a hard line. Top 120 players in minutes are eligible. All right. So what that does is it keeps all of the players that you would in theory have, like your Cade would have already been eligible, would not have needed an exemption. Luca eligible. Ant would become eligible. He was 60th in minutes. Jaquez, who's a front runner for sixth man of the year, eligible. It also keeps like Stephon Castle eligible for all NBA team, right? Who it hurts. Well, let me go over to 121. Do we think that Austin Reeves was going to win any awards this year?
No.
No.
What about Trey Jones from
No.
Chicago?
So,
No.
so not to say that I believe that Victor should, but does that keep him in the top 120? I'm just
I
asking.
I
Just
really appreciate that question. He was 103rd, so he would have been eligible still.
okay. I think you have a good idea there because I feel like most teams, it needs to change because I feel like, now you can tell me I'm wrong. I feel like most teams would value a player that misses, not looking at awards, right? Would
Mhm.
value more of a player to miss 18 games than to play 65 games.
I think that teams are looking more at the time they spend on the court in the first place. I don't think it comes down to, like with Victor, I think 100% everything about his season was built around the minutes he plays. I don't think it had anything to do with the games he played until the
Mm-hmm.
very end when he needed to have the games. But like when they were locked into the two seed, couldn't drop to the three, couldn't raise to the one, they stopped playing him after he got to 65 games. And so if they hadn't needed to do that, they would not have played him in that game. He would not, and then also he wouldn't have gotten that rib contusion against Philly. Because that's why he went back into that game. He came out before the 15-minute mark, played 5 more minutes to get above the 15-minute mark for his close games, for that game to count, and then came out. But in that 5 minutes, he got the rib contusion because he went out originally
Yeah.
for, remember when I messaged you guys and I was like, tell me how an arm injury becomes a rib contusion?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
I think I said a shoulder injury even at
Shoulder,
that.
yeah.
I was like, how does a shoulder injury compute to a rib contusion? It doesn't to me, but whatever, because they're two different injuries. And
Yeah.
now, for what it's worth, he has a freak injury with the concussion, so I hope he's okay. And like, yes, he is a great player. Yes, he deserves, he absolutely deserved to be the defensive player of the year. I don't want to take an award from him.
Mm-hmm.
and he would still be eligible in that role.
We just want
But like
accountability.
some accountability,
Yeah.
but like Norman Powell, you watched your team all year. I wouldn't say he was eligible for any awards, and he shouldn't have been. Players that it could have potentially hurt though is like Kel Ware, who would not have been in the top 120, but maybe was considered for most improved player. I don't think he actually was, but he didn't have a terrible season off the bench.
No.
So Ant was short by how many?
Games, he was short
Four.
four games.
4 games.
Yep.
How many of those games was he injured for?
That's going to be a better question actually for our resident Wolves fan.
Well, so he got denied because I feel like that's another thing. I'm like, if you have an injury, I mean, that's just not, you can't control that. You can't hold that against the player for not meeting the criteria if he's injured.
So he came back from injury and then got sick. I think that's why.
But sick is the same thing, though. Like, you can't control health.
But it's not a season-ending injury. It didn't end his regular season. And they were two different things that compounded. Like, he came back and played and then was out again sick.
See, that's messed up, though. You can't.
Am I wrong on that, Brendan, by the way?
Shout out to Fox Sports, by the way. They went through and they have like every single game he missed and the specific injury. Last I counted, it was 16, I believe, games he missed due to injury.
And then the couple for the sickness?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So
I feel like this should have some, I don't know, health issues should still validate some sort of degree on eligibility.
And so then you have to be okay with allowing them to use just rest.
No.
Listen.
No,
if you're going to say injuries you have to get credit for games injured. You have to allow them to have rest as a reason for missing a game. And that would not be what classify. Like, you could also put a maximum of how many games they can use as a rest for missing a game. That would be a way to combat that. And if they go over that number, then they are ineligible too. Like, we can go that route. I don't care. But it's effectively the same thing as playing, the 25%, the top 25% of minutes. As long as you're in that top 25%, you're eligible.
And the thing is like no matter what I think they decide to do, there's always going to be, unfortunately, there's probably going to be very like niche situations that happen that players slip through the cracks, and that's just going to be unfortunate. But that's just kind of the landscape that it's in. Because I feel like this has been touched on before by all people that have talked about it, that basketball seems to be the only sport that has this issue.
And I don't think like players like Anthony Edwards didn't want to play though.
No.
He's shown a propensity to play every game that he's eligible for. Cade Cunningham, the same way. Both players would have been ineligible under normal conditions.
Yeah. So no matter what they do, there's just, I don't know. There's going to be a situation either, regardless of they change it or tweak it. There's something new every time. Like
another guy that was over, I know we're using Wemby as the benchmark, but like LeBron James played more minutes than he did, and he played demonstrably less games than Wemby. And so, he was over 100 minutes above him, but he played in 5 less games at age 41 for that matter. Shout out to, the greatest age 41 season in NBA history.
But that also goes back to how no team's going to play the same, and no team's going to have the same level of talent.
Sure.
Like OKC could have 10 star players and they're going to divide them all up. And, why you have, I'm just throwing names out there, but like you could have the Clippers who only have 1 or 2 players that can really do anything, right? Well, they're going to play more of the minutes than everyone else. Everyone's going to get rotated out, in and out, in and out, in and out, like a lot, and just be abused versus someone who is fully loaded with players. So then that kind of plays an issue as well. It just
Yeah,
depends
but
on how your team lays out.
then I look at like Trey Murphy the third for the Pelicans, who played 66 games, and he had 400 more minutes than Wimby, who played 65. So, like, there's no way in hell you can get 400 minutes out of one game unless we have 106 overtimes in it. Like,
Like I said, it just depends on how the team uses them.
And like you can throw in like caveats too, like how we touched on Bruce Brown earlier. Like if you play every single game, you should be eligible no matter what. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know where Bruce Brown fell in this minutes tray. Um,
1970,
so he was over.
he was over. Yeah,
He was over the Wemby line. So he would have qualified.
right.
That's seems like that's the
And
answer.
and like I remember, I think reading an article at one time. I won't want to say it was probably from ESPN, but like there was like at least 2 to 3 games in which like he literally missed by like there was one game in for sure that he missed like the 20 minutes or whatever by 6 seconds. 6 seconds. So that game did not count for him.
Yeah. He played
Uh,
more minutes than Chet Holmgren, LeBron James, and Harrison Barnes, who, Chet eligible. Obviously, LeBron was not. Harrison Barnes was, but wasn't. Jalen Duren, he played more minutes than him. Like, he absolutely should have been eligible.
yeah.
So,
But just wanted to throw that one out there. Like having a game not count for something like 6 seconds or 2 minutes is
silly.
absurd.
Especially when you're a bench player. Bench players shouldn't matter how many minutes you play in the game because you're not anticipated to play 20 minutes. A lot of starters should be playing, the average starter, I feel like in the NBA plays between 30 and 34 minutes a game. Unless your name is Victor Wembanyama, then you play less. But, you know,
So so just do a minimum minutes played.
yeah, that's what we're talking about. But just the reason you want to put it against the rest of the league is if the entire league is down in minutes, right? Or if you want to allow player teams to sit players more. I know that's not necessarily the goal that they're going for here, but if it's across the board even that everybody's doing it and we're getting the best products come April, May, and June, which is what I would assume the league wants, the same reason that we'd have all the rules to protect quarterbacks, the same reason that we now have, you know, in MLB, you have, pitch counts to keep games moving faster. And then also that keeps players, you know, engaged quicker, and, it keeps their bodies engaged. They have less soft tissue injuries typically in those situations. You also have to wear a lot more protection, right? I think pitchers have a harder caps now when they play because of like people getting hit in the head with balls. So, there's things that they put in place that way we have the best players playing at the end of seasons. And so like I truly like while I respect the point of like yes, in the economy people are going to pay to play to see teams. I went to a Lakers Thunder game 3 weeks ago. The game that Luka actually got hurt in. I watched that game, and I went to that game because I was hoping to see LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves. Sure, but I was going to see my team. Like I was going to see my players. And honestly, if Shea, Chet, and J Dub would have been sitting, who the hell cares? I'm happy to see AJ Mitchell. I'm happy to see Lou Dort. I'm happy to see. I'm actually not happy to see Alex Caruso, but he's on the team, so I guess I'm happy to see him. And so you see what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, they're still NBA players. If your team is fielding a full team, you should still get a good product out there. I think when we police something that the league as a whole is seen as an issue, from like whether it's the team perspective, the coaching perspective, the player perspective, but not the league perspective, I think we need to adjust things and take it into account. So that's why I would do 25% of like the top 25% of the league's minutes eligible is eligible. It's 120 players. It's also going to keep your ballot very clean. Here's the top 120 players. Look at whatever you want to do there for all of the awards voters. That's just all I have to say. Now, as for tanking as teams, what I would also do, I saw this out there, there's a couple things I saw. Um, One is you get a minimum games won threshold, and you have to hit that threshold by like the All-Star break, and then you're eligible to tank basically from that point. I think it was 25 games by the All-Star break, which typically would make your team like 25 and 30. So maybe drop that down to like 20 and make it 20 and 35. That would be probably more in line with where you would hope to see the bottom of your league in terms of like a competitive league. And then after the All-Star break, every win that those lottery eligible teams have goes counts as a loss, at least towards the lottery. And so you have a team that goes 20 and 35 up to the All-Star break, and then their last 27 games, they go 20 and 7. That's actually 7 and 20 in terms of their record for picks, right? And so instead of having the 40 and 42 record that they would have in that situation, for the lottery, it would be 27 and whatever the math is, 55. And so I kind of like that idea. It's a dynamic level. And you would hopefully see those teams try harder at the end of the season. You wouldn't have situations like the Jazz were in this year where like they traded for Triple J and then started Triple J and played him through 3 quarters of the game and then pulled all of their starters up 15 and lost by 15 in the fourth quarter. Like that's direct tanking, which by the way, you Jazz, for all of you out there that are Jazz fans, Jazz supporters, or if you're a part of the Utah Jazz. And Brendan, by the way, we didn't tell you this. We do an F word counter. And so you might want to get this one ready right up here in this top right-hand corner, right here. Because fuck you, Utah Jazz. Fuck you. That's 3 because what they did this year was absolutely terrible. The Thunder had a top 8 protected pick of the Utah Jazz. It was the final year that it could convey. And if they didn't have it outside the top 8, they don't get a pick for it at all. And they actually won a tiebreaker last week to end up getting the number 4 best odds, not the 5 best odds, which went to the Kings. And that guaranteed them a top 8 pick, which means that pick doesn't convey. And so we took Derek Favors' contract on in 2020 for absolutely no reason whatsoever. We were supposed to get this pick 3 years ago, but Danny Ainge doesn't know how to field a winning team. Shocker. So, but hey, the Thunder don't need it. We don't need it. One, we got Eric's pick already. Thanks, number 12 right now. 7% chance at a top 4 pick. And
He's not even on the team anymore, and we're paying for that.
oh, you still got one more pick? We got a pick swap, we get your pick outright next year. And that's the final pick of the trade.
Is that still for Paul George?
Yes. Yes, brother.
I feel like we're still paying for LeBron, brother. And we're like 12 years out of that.
I mean, when you trade for a generational player like Paul George, you're going to have a high tax. Oh, wait. That's right. He's barely playing for the, upstart 76ers, who did win tonight, by the way, against the Celtics. So, speaking of which, like I said, the Thunder don't need many more players because honestly, I think they have the best player in the league. All right. And so let's go ahead and talk about this for a second because this is something I have brought to you guys, and I wanted to get it on the record before anybody else did. I have heard some grumblings of this in the internet sphere, and so if you feel like this didn't come from me first, you're wrong. It's okay, but we just didn't get it recorded early, and so we're gonna bring. I'm gonna not we. I'm gonna bring you a topic, fellas. And I need you to tell me if I'm crazy. All right.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
whole point of this. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
At least let the audience let them know what we're talking about first. All right.
See.
I don't need it in a different language, Eric. You barely speak the one well. Stick to it.
Fuck you.
So that's four. Um, so a lot of people have said that like Anthony Edwards is the Michael Jordan of this era because his game is very similar to Michael's. He has no rings early in his career like Michael. He wasn't very good in the playoffs early in his career like Michael. And so eventually he'll probably win 6 rings like Michael, right? Probably not. But
His biological son, but
oh yeah, illegitimate biological son. That's 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 here or there. We don't really know. We don't really know. But either way, this isn't really about Ant because I don't think he is this generation's MJ. I honestly don't think anybody is this generation's MJ. I don't think anybody is currently this generation's LeBron. I think Luca may be the closest to a LeBron, but their play styles are so much more. They're so offset. So like Luca is more finesse. LeBron was always more power. And as LeBron has aged, he's became more finesse, and they look very similar in that regard. But I still would say they're completely different players with similar skill sets. Jokic is also an excellent player, and so when we when we look at who the greatest player is of this generation, I do think right now we're staring at a guy in the face, and it's two out of the blue. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. But he's not LeBron. He's not Jordan. He's not Bird or Magic. He's Kobe. Think about it. Who right now would you expect to give the ball to down two to win the game? Who do you think has that drive in them, that dog in them to get to the basket and potentially score, maybe even get fouled
I can choose anyone in the league.
in the league right now?
Anthony
Giannis.
Edwards.
You say Giannis?
Giannis.
That's such a choice.
Anthony Edwards.
Sure. What I would tell you is that the shot of the year was made by SGA this year against the Denver Nuggets, down two. Or no, tied. Sorry, it was down two at first. He hit the shot. Then we gave a 4-point play to Nikola Jokic to tie the ball game. And then with 2 seconds left, tied in the face of Peyton Watson, drains a 26-foot shot down the right-hand side with time expiring. Game of the year, shot of the year. SGA. Also, SGA is going to do something that Kobe hasn't done. That's going to win back-to-back MVPs. We want to take it a step further. We want to project things out. If he were to win the title this year, I think we all could agree he's probably going to be finals MVP. Would we agree to that?
No.
You don't
It's
think
Lou-
he'd be
it-
finals MVP of that
It's
team?
it's Lou Dort. Come on.
Okay, so you're not being serious, but I think we all can agree it'd probably be SGA at a title. I know that I think Eric is probably on Team Wimby in terms of the Western Conference this season just because he's a hater. And I think you probably are the same just because you're a gooner. But at the same time, I have the Thunder because they've been the best team for 3 seasons now. They ran into a buzzsaw of Luca and Derek Lively and PJ Washington shooting 65% from three, or else they might be looking at a three-peat right now. But the only two players to ever win back-to-back MVPs, back-to-back finals MVPs, and back-to-back finals are Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Add into it that he's one of only 4 players ever to average 30 points for 4 seasons. One of them being Elgin Baylor in 1965 to 1969. The other ones being Wilt and Jordan. There's really no competition there. He's also the first player since Jordan to, what was it, win MVP while scoring 30 and win the finals. I think that sounds right. You could double check me on that one. I might be wrong. But at the same time, he's won the Western Conference at least in the regular season, for 3 straight seasons. And he's been the constant. He is the reason they win. Without J-Dub, the Thunder are like 36-9. And with J-Dub, they're like 52-17. Without Shea this year, they were 11-9, I think. No, that's too many games they missed. 9-7. They were 9-7 without Shea this year. Shea has that dog. When you need points, Shea has it. He's the clutch player. He's the favorite to be the clutch player of the year this year. He's going to win MVP. And eventually we're going to see him lift a second championship in a second. 8-6 without Shea. Thank you, statistician Brendan. So I was really close. I said 9-7. My bad. I added 2 extra games in there. And so Shea is the MVP of the league. Shea is the best player in the league. Now, maybe Wemby can get it with his 9'7" wingspan. But I'm pretty sure if a stiff breeze hits the court, Wemby is flying away like a bird.
I'll still take Giannis.
You can take Giannis and his 32-year-old ass. That's totally fine. All right.
I'm just saying.
Giannis played, I think, 38 games this year.
Okay. I mean, he wasn't. I mean, if you look at points, if you look at their stats, they're not too far apart from each other. And he played how many games? He only played that less games than SGA.
He played half the season compared to SGA. He played 36 games. 36. What are you trying to get out of there? Shea played 68. That's 32 more games. Your boy wouldn't even be eligible for awards if he played 20 more games. You give him all the games that Ant missed, which was 22 games. He's still not eligible.
So we're talking about 1 year versus. I mean, we can go back to as far as when SGA entered the league versus Giannis entering.
Oh, you want to go back to when they both entered the league? That's a bad choice. It took Giannis 4 years to get any stats, bro.
I said from when SGA entered the league.
So you want to compare a six-year pro Giannis to a rookie SGA?
You're saying SGA is this generation's GOAT, basically.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm saying that he's this GOAT, which means that within the first 5 years, he won a title with his team. Did he do that? Checks note. Yeah, he did.
I think if you put Anthony Edwards on the Thunder, he does the same thing.
Okay, that's totally fair. Let's play this game. Who's the point guard then?
Huh?
Who's the point guard? Who runs that offense? Because we see how the Wolves run the offense with Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo, non-natural point guards. It looks bad. They lose games that they should win.
He'll just drive to the hole and get 17 free throw attempts in a game like SGA.
He doesn't drive that way. He hasn't done that his whole career. He didn't do that at Georgia. He's not a driver. He's a finesse and shoot guy. And when he does drive, he angles out of the way like Michael did. But he's not Michael, so he doesn't get those favorable foul calls.
Well, yeah, because he's not league MVP SGA to where he can get 17 free throw attempts in a game.
He's not league MVP SGA, but you just said he'd do the same thing.
He would if he was on a team that got those 17 free throw attempts in a game.
Have they not been to the Western Conference Finals the last 2 years? Who did they play in the Western Conference Finals last year? How many games they win in that?
Very confident for the last 2 years. We could talk a little. We go further back.
You want to go back to the bubble when SGA was playing with Chris Paul and they took the Rockets to 7 games with nobody?
What did they do that year? Did they win the title?
But it's the Rockets.
They didn't.
The Rockets don't do anything anyway.
No, remember that team was supposed to be part of the tanking teams, which is another part, the problem that I have with everybody's conversation about the Thunder. And look at what the Thunder did. They tanked for so long. No, the fuck they didn't. That's 5. And they didn't. They had 2 seasons where they were bad, and then they were good again. 2. Now, granted, that was accelerated very quickly because of the Paul George SGA trade. And I'm not going to ever argue that it wasn't. We started taking on players and their salaries to be able to get average picks at best back from teams, and then we parlayed those into better picks, and we got lucky a couple times. We won the Chet deal. We got J-Dub, and he turned out to be pretty good, which personally I would actually trade for a different player, but that's a whole different conversation that we're not talking about right now. What we're sitting at is the apex, is that we are 15 games away, 15 wins away by the Thunder from being 2/3 of the way through a three-peat for this guy. We are 15 games away from this guy having more MVPs and more finals MVPs than Kobe Bryant, not Kobe Bryant. Yes, than Kobe Bryant. No, Kobe had 2. Never mind. They would be tied with Kobe because Shaq had 3. We'd be right there.
So you're saying that SGA is better than Giannis because it took him shorter time to win a final than Giannis.
I think he's better than Giannis because Giannis has limitations to his game. Giannis
What limitations?
He can't shoot, Eric. He can't shoot free throws. He can't shoot threes effectively. He is 18 feet and in. He plays incredible defense and 18 feet and in from offense. He doesn't pass the ball as efficiently as Shea does. He rebounds slightly better, but that's because he's 7 foot tall.
He doubles Shea in rebounds, which of course he's taller, but I mean, we're not going to counting this season. This season he's under 30 points per game, but the last like 3 or 4 seasons he's over 30 points a game. He's the same as Shea for the most part.
He's not over 30 points a game the last 3 to 4 seasons.
2024, 30.4. 2023, 30.4. 2022, 31.1. I mean,
2025?
2025, 27.6. Yeah. He did. Okay. He played. How many games did you say he played this year? Why did he only play 32 games?
Because he was injured.
Okay. So
because his team was fucking tanking at the end, and that's 6.
So we're gonna fault the guy for being injured. Now we're gonna
Yes. 100%. Injury is a part of it. Availability is a part of ability. Or else Brandon Roy is the greatest basketball player of all time, and Greg Oden would never have anybody look near him as a center. So injuries absolutely matter as a part of availability and ability. You have to be available for the games to matter for you.
So that kind of defers back to you saying that injuries should count for missed games on awards then. So you're contradicting yourself a little bit there.
Absolutely not. I still think they should be. I think because here's the thing, there's nuance to it, right? I wouldn't actually pick somebody who played 36 games for an award. I don't think they were one of the best players in the league. Now, if he had tore his Achilles and he was having a monster season, maybe you put him on 3rd team All NBA. I'm not saying give him MVP for that shit.
No, I'm not saying that. No, not at all.
So what are we talking about then?
You're saying he's not a part of SGA, which is ridiculous.
I didn't say he wasn't on par. I didn't say there wasn't any players that were as good as him. When Kobe was in the league, Tim Duncan was also in the league, and he was a great player. Shaq was in the league. He was a great player. Dwayne Wade was in the league. He was a great player. Steve Nash won 2 back-to-back MVPs. Dirk was in the league. There was great players.
He shouldn't have won one of those MVPs, though, to be fair.
What did you say?
Shouldn't he have not won one of those MVPs because of Kobe anyway?
Correct. Kobe should have won the 06-07 MVP. Yeah. He should have, because he had the better record, but that was like the 66 and 16.
I mean, granted, yes, I know I'm arguing semantics, but
no, and he shouldn't have. You're totally
and LeBron
right.
should have like 3 or 4 more MVPs because voter fatigue is a thing. So
correct, and he should also have a defensive player of the year, but somebody wanted to put Marc Gasol 2nd team all defense. Marc Gasol as defensive player of the year that year. So listen, I'm not saying Giannis isn't a good player. I honestly, personally, I've told you this myself. I want to trade J Dub for Giannis. I
So you
think
want
that would work well on the Thunder.
so you want the best player on in the league. Got it.
I already have him.
No, you don't.
I already have him, and that's the whole point of this.
No.
So,
It's
like I
okay.
said,
You're crazy.
that's totally fine. I wanted to get it on record now, so when he does have 5 rings by the end of his career and 4 MVPs, and it is sitting there as one of the, statistically one of the greatest players of all time, I was first on the block.
When does he get his third
Whoa,
ring?
whoa, 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 whoa.
Because it's not this year.
So rings and MVPs matter the most now. Okay.
Never said
You
that
just
for
said
one.
it. Yes, you did. Did you
No,
not just say?
did I
You
say
not
those
just
are the
say that,
most
Eric?
important things, or did I
That's
say
what
he'd
you're
be
pointing
sitting there
out. That's
Did you hear the word statistically?
Do you hear the words coming out of my mouth?
Oh, I hear it.
Statistically, when he averages 32 for his career, statistically, when he has 16 straight seasons of 50% scoring, statistically, when he leads 12 teams to the #1 seed in the West, statistically, when he gets to more finals, statistically, the word statistic is in there. There's more than just finals, wins,
How many scoring
and
ties does
MVPs.
SGA have? Just curious. How many scoring ties does SGA have? Just curious.
I think he has 1.
I think you're right.
I think he
I
won
was just
last
curious.
year.
I just was curious. I didn't know if you knew that or not.
I think it's 1. I think he won it last
You're
year.
right.
And he's second this
2023.
year. Or 2023. Oh, so he has 2?
One.
One in
You just said
2023.
one.
Got it.
One in 2023. Yeah.
Got it.
I just wanted to say 0 to
Brandon,
rage
just
bait.
come off mute. What was that?
Okay. No, he won 1, and it was last year.
Was it last year?
It was last
It
year.
was last year. I literally just said 0 to rage bait Alex because I remember that he got it last year. I just
Was that his MVP season?
Yes, his MVP season.
Okay.
And he
Finals
finished marginally
MVP.
behind Luka this year. Honestly, if Luka would have played the end of the season, he probably would have overtaken Luka. So
maybe if he shot 2 more free throws, he could have got him.
but again, you're looking at, oh, were you the best of what you did this year? I look at their fucking careers. I look at the totality of their career. LeBron's going to average 27 for his career, which is going to be the 4th best average all time. Like,
What
you
are we
don't have
talking
to,
about
but he's only won 1 scoring title, but he's going to be the 4th best average per game scorer of all time. Ooh, screw your scoring titles.
I'm confused.
No, you just want to bring up scoring titles because your guy,
No,
Michael
I
Jordan,
just
had like 9 of them or something, and he
I
won
wasn't
6 of
even
them
at-
when he was
he
0-9
actually-
against the Celtics in the playoffs and couldn't get out of the first round.
Actually, he has 10. Get it right. If you're gonna come at him. I'm just saying. And I was not going to Michael Jordan. I was just curious on Giannis and SGA, buddy. That's what I was trying to that's what we're comparing here. Okay.
You're comparing that. I'm comparing him to the greatest players of all time, and I don't consider Giannis one of those.
Back-to-back MVP, defensive player of the year, finals MVP. I mean, he did that like all in a matter of 4 or 5 years. I don't know how he's.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 6 players I think that have 4 defensive players of the year. Like, would you consider Rudy Gobert one of the greatest players of all time? Because he's a 4-time defensive player of the year.
Bam got robbed on that one.
What about Draymond Green? I think he only has 3, but
Yeah, jumping in here. There's only 3 players in NBA history that are DPOY, being Mutombo, Ben Wallace, and Rudy Gobert.
not even Giannis.
It's probably because it's probably because of the one that they gave to Gobert.
What about 3 times? That includes Giannis, I think, at that point. And then also like Draymond and I think Elijah won, right?
With three, you'd be looking at four because it'd be Mutombo, Ben Wallace, Rudy Gobert, and then you add Dwight Howard in there.
Oh, Dwight Howard. Still not even Giannis. How many does Giannis have? He has two?
What?
Two Defensive Player of the Year awards?
Just the one.
He has
Just the
one.
one?
Just one.
He has one.
Oh, so we're
Yeah, he's only really, like I said, his greatest moments were from 2018 to when they won their because I think 2018, 2019 is when he went back to back MVPs, if I'm wrong.
okay.
Then he
So
won then the year after that, after winning back to back, he won Defensive Player of the Year, and then the year after that, he won the Finals and MVP. Finals MVP, I think.
so
Yes,
let's
correct.
see.
Finals
Okay.
MVP in 21. And then you are correct, 1920, he was an MVP.
Okay. So like you're over here like he's this great player because he has two MVPs and a Defensive Player of the Year, right? Is that what we decided? But somehow Shea can't do the same with two MVPs in a scoring title.
I'm not saying he can't.
I don't understand what you're going for here, then, bud.
I mean, if we look at stats wise and what they both have, they're pretty much equal.
But they're
Until this year, when they win, how you say they win his second title, and then I can't say anything.
so amongst guards, let me just put this out there. Amongst guards, Shea is about to have his fourth All NBA first team in 6 seasons or 7 seasons now. I think 7. Um, that will put him with Chris Paul and Steph Curry as like third most. Then it's gonna be Luca, who has 5. And then you get into like way older players outside of like James Harden, who has 6, and Magic has 9. Those are like, and then Elgin Baylor has 10, Jordan has 10. So he's 7th already all time versus like LeBron, Kareem, Duncan, Pettit. Pettit was a guard, sorry. Bird, Shaq, Wilt, Giannis, and Elijah won. Like, sure, they're in the same spot. Giannis is a 13-year veteran. He's got double the career that Shea does. And he's already plateaued to where Giannis was. I'm going to be completely honest with you, bud. Giannis had a great 3-year run. Since then, he hasn't been a part of winning basketball for the most part.
Now, is that because of him? Is that because of a team?
I mean, I look around and
because the stats aren't. It's not like he's declining. Besides this year, okay, yeah, he's declining points wise. Sure, rebounds,
everything.
Sure,
his defense is not as good. He doesn't have as good of a shot right now. Yeah, his team isn't as good, but like I also watched Kevin Durant carry the Rockets. I watched Steph Curry carry the Warriors. I watched LaMelo Ball carry the Hornets.
Yeah, but we also know where Giannis is. I feel like Giannis sits at where he's at in Milwaukee right now and is like doesn't want to be there. Let's be honest.
But every time he goes on the court, he wants to freaking play. I want to freaking play, man. That's Giannis. That's my Giannis.
What other choice do you have? You're gonna play you're gonna be upset at the team that you're at, but I mean, you're either gonna play ball or go home.
Okay. Here's the thing. I'm not arguing that. Like,
sure,
I will give you that. Currently, where they sit in the world, They're right next to each other, like 20 to 25 in that area. Sure. I'm projecting. The question was about projecting what SGA does
I
in
didn't
his
think that's what the
career.
question was. I thought the question was that the question, Aaron? I thought the question was
I said that
who
this
is this
generation's
generation's
Kobe is
talent right now?
SGA.
Not projected to be, but
Who
who is it
is
right now?
correct?
I
Not
said,
projected.
who
Who
is
is?
this generation's Kobe? You are correct. And 6 years into their career, Kobe had 2 rings, working on a third. And 6 years into this career with Shea, with the Thunder, he's going to have 2 rings and going to be working on his third
When's he get a second?
this year.
No,
In 2 months,
no,
probably to the day.
no.
Okay. Well, your GOAT right now has a concussion. So let's see if he can even get the team out of the first round.
goat.
Not my goat either. I mean, I don't.
Your defensive GOAT. Is that fair?
Well, here's the thing. In about 10 years, I'll know where Alex stands on Michael Jordan. He'll be about 6th on his list.
No, not necessarily, because Kobe doesn't. I don't have Kobe over Jordan.
See, that's where it confuses me because you're so high on how early Kobe and SGA can get to 2 rings, and it took Jordan 7 seasons to get 1.
Yeah. And then after he got that 1, he got 6 and 8 years. I don't discount anything that Jordan did. I give him the credit that he deserves. The active word there is deserves.
I know. I'm not
You
talking
want to
about
give
that.
him bonus points because he's the only one to do 2 three-peats.
No,
And not losing the finals.
And not losing the finals. Oh my God.
That's not what I've said.
Even
And
Bill
you know
Russell
that.
lost in the finals, man, twice.
That's
He's
not
11
what
and
I've
2.
said. We've done segments on this. You can go back. I've
Yeah,
never praised him to
discount
3-peat.
what LeBron did in finals because he's
No.
lost finals and been swept. That's on record.
That's on record. That's not the only thing I've said, and we don't need to go there. That's not the only thing I've thrown at you.
And here's the thing. If Shea gets to 7 finals and only wins 2 of them, I still am going to give him credit for getting to 7 finals. I'm not going to be like, well, shit, he couldn't do it 5 times. Oh my God, he should be a better player.
I'm not
Give me a break.
I don't discredit for losing it. You're misinterpreting my words, but okay.
Aaron,
But
I'm only this close because this man is a freaking liar. It's not even worth it.
No, I'm not lying.
Aaron, have you
for-
not sat here for this same argument where he has said that LeBron losing in finals is a negative against him?
yes,
Thank you. That's all.
Yes, I have said that, but I'm not discrediting him making the finals, but the loss hurts him. But
That
It
is
shouldn't.
discrediting him for making it then.
it shouldn't
No.
because then you should be discrediting Jordan for getting swept in the first fucking round. That's
3
6.
straight times.
That's 6.
I do I don't say, yeah, he was perfect. No. It took him 7 seasons to get to a freaking championship. Like, I do not discredit.
Had 3 coaches and drafting
Yeah,
Scottie
a lot.
Pippen
Yeah, a lot.
and getting Tony Kukoc. And then
I'll
next
always
repeat
pose the
he
same
did is
question.
Rodman.
Would you
Like-
rather get to the finals and lose, or would you rather be swept in the first round? as
Or
a
not
team?
make the playoffs.
Or not make the playoffs? Would you personally for your team, would you rather get to the finals or lose in the first round? And if you say lose in the first round, you're on crack.
No, I'd make it to the finals.
Exactly. So why are we punishing someone for losing in the finals, but not punishing equally, if not more so, for getting swept in the first round? That's all I'm saying. Like,
I understand that, but I also don't. That's not all. Alex makes it seem like that's my first point. of
No,
attack to
well,
LeBron, and
it's
it's
not yours.
not.
It's general,
It's
it's general
general.
Jordan
Trust me,
fans.
it is general Jordan fans, but I try, and he knows I try to widen it more.
I will say you're not as
do.
bad. I will say you're not
No.
as bad.
Do I get bad? Yes. Then that's because Alex pushes my freaking button sometimes. I just want to throw it in his face. But and he would agree. I
too like throwing things in his face.
I do throw some good takes on the LeBron and Jordan debate. We don't have to get into it, but there is some things he doesn't necessarily agree, but we'll conversate and talk about it. Do you agree?
I feel like I'm really good at talking about a lot of things and
No.
making you feel heard and validated is one of them. Because I think what you're saying, I think that's an accurate answer to what you're saying, is that I don't agree with what the words that are coming out of your mouth are, but I will entertain the conversation with you. Is that what you're saying? Because if that's so, then yes, I will absolutely entertain conversations. But the reason I do it is to provide you knowledge on the other side so that I can maybe inform you better. Because I think sometimes when you look at things, you look at it from one side, not the whole.
Nah.
That's it. So listen, again, I have Jordan as the second greatest player of all time. I'm so sorry for him being number 2 out of 42,000 players.
And I've told you before, it's your opinion.
You're right. It's my opinion.
Everyone's gonna have different opinions.
And the second somebody else has 27,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, and 10,000 assists in the league, you can talk to me because he's the only player that has a career triple-double like that. He's also the only player that has 27, 9, and 9 for that matter. But that's really also irrelevant. Now, do I think Jokic can get to those numbers? I think he can get to the last two. I don't know if we get to the points. He also has the longest 10-point game streak in NBA history, which, by the way, Shea has the longest 20-point game win streak, or not win streak, scoring streak in NBA
Scoring
history.
streak, yeah.
1,017 games. You know, Luka is the closest to that number right now. And he would have to play for another 14 seasons, full seasons, to hit that number. And he's in his 8th season in the league.
We're not going to get into this.
We'll get past it. That's fine. We can save this for a different day because this wasn't even the topic.
Yeah, the topic is
this
SGA. Generation's Kobe is Anthony Edwards.
You took it there. I did not.
Aaron, you little shit. It's not what was said.
That's what the topic was. Is this generation's Kobe was Anthony Edwards? That's what.
Well, that means he needs to start winning some titles this year. Then.
Okay.
That's
and
it.
They'll beat the Thunder right after they get done whooping on the Nuggets.
And then the Spurs or the Blazers or whichever one comes out of there.
Well,
we'll see how quick win.
Well, if it's the Blazers aren't doing anything.
I don't know. If they get in that second round, Denny Avia can do some magic. I'm just saying. So, hey, we're going to take a quick break, pay some bills, and then we'll be right back to talk the NFL. What up, guys, and welcome back into our second half of our season premiere. There we go. There's the word. Season premiere of Season 5 of Maybe I'm the Crazy One podcast. I am Alex Chandler here with our co-host, Aaron Stout, Eric Rodriguez. Guys, let's turn from our pretty fun topic of basketball over to what I would consider our collective group's first love of football. Now, for Aaron, I know that would technically
Who's first love?
soccer.
Not me.
I know that would technically be soccer.
Football.
It's not mine.
You let me finish my sentences.
Nah, I don't do that. We don't do that around here.
We don't do that for you.
So, but in terms of the show, I would say the show started and predicated off of a football level and then moved into basketball.
That's fair.
And so from the show's perspective, it's our first love. All right. And so we do have to give some congratulations real quick before we move into our main topic, which is going to be the NFL draft, which starts Thursday, April 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's just going to be the first round. Second round's on Friday. Third round is on Saturday. But yeah, we got to give Eric some love here, man.
We don't. We really don't.
We do.
No.
I'm sorry, you suck. Okay, go home. Oh wait, you did.
Yeah, because my quarterback got hurt.
Oh, your equipment got hurt. Are you gonna cry about it?
Yeah.
I would like to point out that the Philadelphia Eagles won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback.
Yeah. So what's your excuse?
Yeah, because I'm sure our backup quarterbacks were definitely comparable.
I think you are misremembering who Nick Foles was, my friend.
That's how
Yeah, that's
out
what
of
I'm
the
saying.
how
They
far
are
out of the
not
league was he
they
when
are
he came
not
back?
comparable backups.
We were a heel away from losing to the Falcons in the first round. I believe 13-16 before Julio Jones didn't get his foot in, and we won 13-9 in a game that Nick Foles, I'm pretty sure, threw 2 picks in. He also tried to give away the next game before the Minnesota Vikings did the Minnesota Vikings thing in the NFC Championship game, and then we just happened to run in and get 538 yards in the Super Bowl. So like I and then after that, what did he do? Oh, yeah, that's right. Virtually nothing. Lost to the Saints on a pick. We won in Chicago on a double doink. That has nothing to do with Nick Foles. He played like absolute ass that season in the playoffs. And then he went to, I believe, Jacksonville on a 4-year, $84 million contract and then was cut after 1 year and out of the league in 2. So
Not comparable.
I don't know. Jarrett the Javelin was supposed to be the next guy in New England. The GOAT said so. Bill Belichick. But either way, Eric, you get 1 minute to start this to talk about your team and your championship if you would like to. Floor is yours, my friend. Welcome to the two title league or the two title league.
Two title league. No, it was great. As you would at the beginning of the year, I feel like we didn't think we were gonna get. I think I had us going to the playoffs. I just didn't. I don't remember. Do you guys remember if I had
You had them
Seahawks
winning the
going?
division. I'm pretty sure you had the Seahawks winning like
Winning
13 games.
Yeah,
Was that this year or
but
last year when
No,
he
it
had
was both
everybody going
years.
15-2?
No,
Okay.
it was both years. It was both.
But I don't
I
remember
still
if I had
remember
them
that like
going
You
to
did
the
you didn't have them going to the Super Bowl, but you had them at
because I had
least I
Bills
think maybe NFC
versus
Championship.
I think, and they
Maybe.
lost to the Niners.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, they
Sounds
lost to the
about right.
Niners. Yeah.
honestly, the only picks that I can ever remember him making are the next two I'm going to
Oh,
talk about.
stop!
It's
We
the
don't
it's
need
the
to.
Browns losing to the Texans but winning the Super Bowl.
Yep.
That's not how
That
that
was the year
goes.
before though. That wasn't this
Yep.
past year.
And
Yeah.
then that was all. The other one I can remember is him saying that the Ravens were going to be the wild card at 15-2 because the Bengals were going to go 16-1. And I think that's the
I
year they
don't
went
want to
seven
hear
and
it.
ten.
You both said Cam Ward was going to be Rookie of the Year.
Why hey, why are we flipping to this subject right now?
Because you're coming at me, so I'm going to come back at you. Hey, every once in a while we bust, okay? Leave me alone.
Hey, that's why we have 2 kids coming. So
True.
back to what you were saying.
But yeah, no, happy we won. It's sad to see some people go. Kenneth is one of them, but we'll manage. And I feel like we're always very good in the draft and finding good players. I mean, our first rounds are always good, but I feel like when you look at our second round and third rounds, we always, I mean, I feel like for the last decade, we've hit on every single one. So I'm happy. So couldn't be more excited.
All right. Well, as Eric alluded to there, the Seahawks did win the Super Bowl this year. Again, congratulations on winning 2 titles this century, something the Broncos haven't done yet. I think you guys are only at 1 this century, right, my friend? No? I mean, even producer Brendan's team has 3 titles this century.
Who does he
No.
go for?
He's a Chiefs fan.
She is a
fan,
Chiefs
yeah.
fan. Yeah, I forgot. Never mind.
So
Damn.
I just,
That
Aaron, are
just
you
sucks for
okay?
you. Are
I
you?
think your mic's not working. I
I
don't.
know. Damn. I mean,
No
the AFC
comment.
title game was just horrible, dude.
Well, I'm aware. I'm acutely aware.
I mean, you could have won. Now you would have just got your butt whooped in the final, but
It would have been very similar to the last time a bird was in the Super Bowl against an AFC West opponent. It would have been belt to ass.
Hey, Eric, I'm just gonna jump in real quick. Can I say my favorite words ever from a Seahawk?
Hmm.
We'll take the ball and we're gonna score.
Oh my God, here we go.
Who said that?
That was Matt Hasselbeck at the 2003 wild card against the Packers. Whenever they they lost that game in overtime.
Well,
I remember that.
Hey,
so
Eric, why don't you just like not hand it off to the best running back in the league in a
You
short
know
yard
what?
situation? Were you feeling dangerous?
no, he was feeling dangerous. You know why? Because it was spicy. That's a callback to that Subway commercial, if anybody remembers that. Um,
At least we made it to the Super Bowl, okay? If we want to go back to making it 2 things.
Hey, we made it to things too. We're
I'm
really good
gonna
at We're really good at losing them, though.
we're gonna earmark that part of the conversation, and I'm just gonna rip that out and put it into the LeBron category.
Yeah,
Um,
we're the LeBron of fine Super Bowls.
I read something today, and this is side note from everything, but kind of up topic because of WrestleMania. It said that Brock Lesnar started WWE, went to the Vikings, came back to the WWE, went to UFC and won a championship, retired from there, came back to the WWE, went back to UFC, went back to WWE, got into his mess that he got into, and then came back to the WWE and retired before the Cowboys
Before the
made.
Cowboys won a Super Bowl.
Yep,
My
you
favorite
got
bit.
it. So, but hey, maybe it's their year because they have 2 picks inside the top 20 of the
Oh,
NFL draft.
it's definitely their year. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Can't wait for that meme to start trending of quarterbacks that have asked them with
We
the
them
boys.
boys.
So
Just
we'll
checking
keep
to
you guys.
see.
We'll keep you abreast on that. We'll actually share that this year. Producer Brandon, remind me that we got to share the "We Dem Boys" meme every time the boys lose from the Facebook page, just so we keep
Yeah,
that
yeah,
all.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But
Okay.
we're going to talk about the NFL draft today, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the top 10 picks, mainly just for time's sake. We're going to go over each of those, who we think they should pick, who we actually think they will pick. Sometimes those will be different. We'll talk about who we think is the best to trade up or trade down in the draft, as well as then talk about a couple teams that are outside the top 10 of the draft. My Eagles, of course, who picked number 23. Eric's Seahawks, who picked somewhere at the end of the draft. I don't remember. Um, Probably 32 since they won. But, who cares if they won? It's 2026, 2027 football year. Nobody cares about your old titles.
I
And,
just won the next one.
okay, buddy. That's what I thought last year, too, around this time. And I thought we were as invincible as you guys were. And then all of a sudden, you're going to have a Cooper Cup problem or something. I don't know. But
No, just an AJ Brown problem.
we'll get
No,
to
we
AJ
won't
Brown
have
here in a
we
little
won't
bit.
have those. We won't have those. We don't have those.
Okay.
Jason AJ Brown. Oh, wait,
You remember
I can't even get into your screen, Aaron.
you remember you remember back in 2017 when the you guys were on your run and everything, and oh yeah, that's right. You had a really loud secondary that ended up all getting broken up because they were loud and having the same problems that AJ Brown seemingly has with Jalen Hurts, who his comp, by the way, was the one and only Russell Westbrook. Or not Westbrook, Russell Wilson. Sorry. Russell Westbrook's actually a really good player. Hey
Hey,
yo.
don't do that to Wilson.
So no, we'll get to all of that and more. But we'll start with the top 10 of the draft. And so let's just go to the top of the draft here, guys. What we'll do is I'll say a team, and then we'll all say a player. This player is who we think they're going to draft. And then we'll talk about what their actual needs are and if they should draft that player or if they should draft somebody else. So, for example, number one, the Las Vegas Raiders are now on the clock. I believe they're going to take Fernando Mendoza.
Eric.
Parnell Tate. No, I'm just kidding. Fernando Mendoza.
And in shocking fashion, I am going to say that the Raiders are. Oh, jeez, words are hard. The Raiders are going to take Fernando Mendoza.
All right. So we're a clean sweep on Fernando Mendoza there. Why do you think it's a good pick? Let's start there.
I mean, I feel like they need it. Like, yes, they did go out and get Kirk Cousins, which I think that'll potentially help in terms of him learning. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad move. Um, I feel like whatever he can provide in whatever capacity will be good, whether it's, maybe I'm assuming he's going to start right away. If you're picking him number one, it makes sense for him to do so. But have obviously Gino is not that great. I've never been like I think he's okay. I've always thought Gino was okay, but never thought that he was ever really, I guess, a great like yes, he had that one-off year with the Seahawks that did well, but I think that was more about the team around him than him himself. But I think it's a good pick for them. I don't know why they would really go anywhere else per se. Like I guess you could go get another receiver or maybe an offensive lineman, but I don't. If you do that, I wouldn't do that with the number one pick. I know we touched on pre-show talk about the offensive linemen being kind of like there are good ones, but it's kind of a shallow pool.
Yep. It's a
Receiver
wide,
wise, like
but it's shallow.
right. Receivers, there's not, I don't think any like generational type talent in terms of like receivers. Like I think there's some that can be very, very good, but if you're gonna have the number one pick and you're sold up, like, and I'm pretty sure they've came out and said that they're not trading that pick whatsoever. And things could happen, but I definitely don't foresee that happening. I haven't seen any rumblings of that happening. So Fernando Mendoza just makes sense at that point. You don't take those other two positions at that number one spot. If you have any other like aspirations for any other positions, then you're definitely trading out of that number one spot. So that's my take.
Eric, anything to add to that?
No, besides, well, so a little bit to, I agree with everything besides the fact that I've always kind of thought, I, I knew they got Kurt, but I don't understand why no one takes the Mahomes approach. I understand you say you're drafting number one, he starts. Okay, Mahomes got drafted in the first top 10. I mean, and they didn't start him right away. They
Well,
let
that's because
him.
Alex Cousins was also pretty good.
I mean, Kurt's not horrible.
Right, but he's also injury prone. And I'm not saying Kirk can't start or won't start. I just
I
think
think he will
Okay.
start.
you
I
think
think he
Kirk you think
will
Kirk
start.
will start.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think it has anything to do necessarily with Fernando Mendoza, but more to what you're talking about, Eric, in that I think they do want to give Mendoza that time to learn and see what the offense is going to look like. I think that's why you go get Kirk Cousins. I think when we talk about Fernando Mendoza and a lot of comps that he gives, Kirk Cousins is one of them.
Yeah.
Just the white Dak Prescott, but I it is what it is.
As a
And
yeah, as a team, you're trying to build your franchise quarterback. If that's who you're drafting, you're wanting to be your quarterback for many years to come. Why not sit him a year or have him sit half a year and learn behind someone who's a veteran and see and learn all the ins and outs? Because I feel like going college NFL is two different. I mean, it's not completely different, but it's definitely a step up than what I mean.
Can I
I can't
pose a
find the words.
question to you?
What's that?
You said sit him out for half a year. If you're going to take that approach, why not just let him sit the whole year and let him learn then? If you're going to,
And that's what I'm saying. If you're gonna, well,
I'm just purely just asking, like from a standpoint at that, like would you just rather just at that point just assuming Kirk stays healthy the whole year and just play him the whole year regardless of what the outcomes are?
yeah, if Kurt's like healthy the whole year and doesn't get injured and doesn't like, yeah, I feel like set him the whole year and just have him learn. I mean,
Because again, I'm totally
you're
fine with that approach.
you're picking him number one. You're picking him to be your face of your franchise, to be your quarterback for future years. Why not have a learning year? What's the hurry? There's no
Right.
hurry. I
well,
mean, you already were horrible. Like, I get it. Teams want to win Super Bowls, right? But like, build your team. Like, take your time. I mean, I get it. You want to go win championships, but to me, it feel like at this point, take your time. I mean, what's the rush? You
Well,
have years on contract. I get it, but
and the reason I said that wasn't necessarily my perspective. It is my perspective. It's my perspective of the the Raiders themselves perspective of, well, if they start losing, the fans are going to want to see Mendoza, so they're going to put him in type deal instead of taking the waiting approach
mm, I
because
mean, if you're losing, I'd still
we
wait.
right, and that's what I'm saying. But like sometimes organizations, I feel like just kind of give into pressure when they're like, "Oh, you need to bench whoever," and then
Because they're
all of a sudden
losing.
they'll
Yeah.
and
But
so
they want people to come, and if they're losing and they're you pick Mendoza and you're playing Kirk Cousins constantly, and you can even come out and say at the beginning of the year, we're not playing Mendoza all year, assuming Kirk stays healthy. But
mm-hmm,
then it's all a lot of the time it's about money.
mm-hmm,
so here's the other side of that argument is that you're and put it in another perspective that we can all really relate to. Sporting Kansas City last year. At some point in time, we didn't want to see the old players that weren't going to be with the team anymore. We wanted to see the young, fresh talent see what they had.
Hmm.
And I know, mixing metaphors on teams is a little different, but I think there is a point that comes where you're eliminated from potential playoff contention. You're not in the zone. You're not, and your top 10 pick is pretty solidified to where you could see, week 12, week 13, you could see Fernando just to see what he has. Maybe there's a spark that you can get similar to when I think back to when the 49ers traded for Jimmy Garoppolo and they originally let him sit for a little bit, learn their system, and then came in and for a 1-17, and they rattled off 7 wins or whatever it was, and then that parlayed them into the next season, which they got to the Super Bowl in. And so I think there is benefit to playing him early, but still allowing Kirk Cousins to lead the franchise, if that makes sense.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
And giving him that when they walk in on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, they're doing the same thing. And, it's a little bit different than with Penix with Kirk Cousins because he walked into this situation knowing who they were going to draft versus Terry Fontenot being like, hey, Kirk, by the way, we're going to take Michael Penix here with the seventh pick. And, him being like, well, you just signed me to this massive deal. He's not on a massive deal. I know, like, the numbers wise, it looks massive, but it's effectively a 1 year, $20 million deal.
Yeah, it's not.
And, that's great for him. I'm super happy for him to make his money. But it's, do you ask me if he's going to have more of an impact this year to winning than even Malik Willis will? I don't.
No.
And so when we look at Fernando Mendoza coming in, I do think he should sit just like you guys are talking about. I think when you look at his history, he really only has 1 year of high quality starting. He was at Cal before he was at Indiana, and he wasn't super great at Cal. Um, he's always been pretty accurate, but he doesn't throw for a bunch of yards. He hadn't thrown for a bunch of touchdowns until he got to Indiana, and then he did a little bit of both of those things. I think he kind of reminds me of the person that you work with that has like one really good month or one really good quarter at like, a sales position, right? And just says and does all the right things to where like the manager thinks that they're a good person throughout their whole career, but really they're not very great. They're just average. But that gets you pretty far in the NFL. Now, would Fernando Mendoza be a number one pick in, say, next year's draft? I don't think so. That
Who
potentially
next
has
year?
like an Arch Manning,
Oh,
right?
I forgot he
And
is in there.
the other three quarterbacks that are, failing me right now that were supposed to be part of this class that didn't come out. This
Oh, I can't remember who they are. Who are they?
again, I can't. That's kind of irrelevant. It's just
Yeah, I
he
guess how you're
wouldn't
saying.
be
You're
he
saying.
wouldn't be the guy. And
Yeah.
so when we look at that, I think it's really important. Like Dylan Raiola, I think was one of them that could have came out that didn't. Um, the other guy that's in front of him, Dante Moore, probably would have gone in front of him, but it didn't come out. They're both over at Oregon. And so
Yeah.
I think when we look at those things, I think, yeah, it's probably the right person to take. I would personally, I would personally trade out of the pick. Drew Aller was one of those guys that was supposed to be high up. He's going to be projected to be later now because I think he still came out. He's gonna be like a third or fourth round guy, I think, right now. Like he's the guy that people are discussing who's gonna be the second quarterback between him and Ty Simpson. And so it's just a matter of what your flavor is. But I would
Hmm.
probably trade out of the pick personally if I were them because they have a lot of needs. They have multiple offensive line holes they have to fill. They have to get better at the edge. Even though they kept Max Crosby, they have to get better in the secondary. They need a receiver. So like there's a lot of positions that they need to fill that you can't just mask with just a quarterback. Now, great quarterbacks, yes, you can. But even Caleb Williams' first year couldn't mask a bad offense and bad defense, bad team. Bryce Young hasn't been able to do that. But the second we give Bryce Young some talent, look what he did. He won the NFC South.
Yeah.
So
And that's why I don't mind them taking a quarterback and sitting him if they sit him. Because here's the thing, I don't know this knowledge, and maybe one of you three can tell me if you know it off your bat. When's the last time a team has drafted a quarterback in the first round and gone to the Super Bowl?
I don't think no rookie quarterback has started the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, no.
Exactly. So, I mean, there's a reason you're have the first pick and you're drafting quarterback. It's because you're rebuilding. So why not take your time and rebuild that team? But that's just, I don't know. It's my thought process, I guess. I don't know.
Like, I think the closest we got was Jaden.
Yeah, because he
Yeah.
was that his rookie. Was that his rookie year when he made it
It
to the
was his
NFC
rookie.
Championship?
Yep. And then he got waxed. Russell Wilson, I think, also made an NFC Championship game
I
against the
thought
Falcons. That might have been the second round. I can't remember which round it was. If it was the second round, that was the year that the Falcons then played the Packers and beat the shit out of them. But either way, uh,
yeah. It's
Like
just yeah,
it doesn't happen frequently.
no,
The
very
the
little.
other the only other comp I can think of right now is like first year starting Mahomes got to the AFC Championship game. Um, but that was obviously his second year in the league, which goes to
Hmm.
speak to what you're talking about. The other thing that he's going to have, he's not going to just learn from Kirk Cousins. They got a 10% owner over there in the name of Tom Brady, like that apparently wears a headset during games when he's able to go to games, you know? So, uh, when you're learning from Tom Brady, when you're learning from Clint Kubiak, when you're learning from Kirk Cousins, you do have a very good pipeline there of knowledge that you can grow from. It's just a matter of making sure that you maximize it.
Hmm.
So, speaking of teams that don't know how to maximize a pick at all, and also going back to what you said with the Carnell Tate joke, Eric, do you know the last team to draft a receiver number one?
Mm, I felt like I is there a team that's drafted a team number one?
A wide receiver number one? No team has drafted a team number one.
AFC or NFC?
AFC.
AFC.
I'll give you a hint. It's who we're about to talk about.
It's
The
been a
Jets?
while.
The Jets?
The Jets and Keyshawn Johnson in 1996.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yep. And so, speaking of the Jets, I think with the number two pick, they're going to take Arvell Reese. Aaron, it's your turn to pick next. You made Eric do the first last time.
That's fair. I am gonna go with David Bailey,
Eric?
edge
I think
rusher
I'm
from
al-
Texas Tech. For those that don't know,
I think I'm also gonna go with David Bailey. I think they need an edge more than they need linebacker.
Arvell Reese is also an edge.
Well, is he an edge or is he more of
Yes,
a linebacker though?
Yes.
Yes.
The answer. He plays both. He can be your standard middle linebacker. He can play coverage as an outside linebacker, and he can rush the passer.
So yes, yes, got it.
I said yes.
I don't feel like you can go wrong either way with either of those two.
I do.
I I mean, I think currently, I think Reese has a higher ceiling, but I think Bailey at this point in time is more pro ready.
So when you take a defensive player, especially early in the draft, what you're trying to get from them is snaps, right? And you want to hopefully, when you're taking somebody in the top 10, you want them to contribute at least 1,000 snaps to your season on average, which is about 55 a game. And so you're not going to get that from David Bailey. David Bailey can't play the run to save his life. And so when you take David Bailey as high as two, what you're saying is that we're going to have a defense that's going to be rushing the passer constantly. And when I think of the New York Jets, it's not what I think of, especially with Geno Smith at quarterback. And so what you then are needing is somebody who's going to fit more holes on your defense at one single time and be able to position them in pretty much whatever way you want. Think of a Nick Emanuori for the Seahawks, right? I know he plays safety, but they basically play him wherever they want on the field.
Hmm.
And that's what you can do with Arvell Reese. He actually came in, I believe, as a safety, and then grew into a linebacker. And so he has the ability to do a lot. And what also is tipping me to Arvell Reese is that they brought Arvell Reese in for a top 30 visit and then sent everybody, including David Bailey, home and said, we don't need to meet you guys. We're good. And so when a team does that, that typically tells me, hey, they're not taking that guy, or they are taking that guy specifically, and they're not taking the other people. So, and it was made publicly aware that David Bailey did not end up having his top 30 visit as expected. So now, is that the right pick for them? Probably, because again, they have many holes. and they're not going to be competing for a title right now, whether it's in that division or in the conference. So I think trying to fix your defense with a defensive-minded coach, similar a la D'Amico Ryans when he drafted Will Anderson, I think that's kind of the route that you should go. Do you guys have anything to add?
No.
Nope.
No? All right. Well, then we'll move on to the Arizona Cardinals. All right. Arizona Cardinals, this is where it gets interesting. So, Arizona needs a tackle, they need a quarterback, they need a running back, they need edge help, they need corners. Basically, they need everything but a wide receiver or a tight end. And so, with that, I think that the Arizona Cardinals will take Sonny Styles. Eric?
I think this is where we're going to see a trade. I could be wrong, but I think the Chiefs are going to move up to 3 and take Reese.
Okay. Aaron?
I agree with the Reese going to 3, but it's staying with the Cardinals. But if you want me to add something that the Cardinals might do, I think they do trade up at the end of the first round and try to get a playmaker at the end of the first round.
I agree that the Cardinals and the Chiefs could be trade partners, but not in the way that Eric thinks. So I'll trade it. I'll pass it over to you, Eric, and you can go ahead and give your ideas there and why you believe that.
On why I believe they'll trade?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think. Who'd you say the Cardinals are going to take?
Harvell Reese.
Sonny Styles is who I said. Either way,
Sonny Styles. Okay.
insert Ohio State linebacker here, and that's who they took.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Another linebacker from Ohio State.
I just think they probably, to me, more want a tackle, and they can still get that at 9. I feel like
for sure.
with Francis.
Oh, they absolutely can.
Why do you think the Chiefs are going to give up capital to move up to take Reese? Would be my question, as opposed to staying put or even giving up less capital, a couple picks later to take like a Reuben Bain, or even staying put and potentially getting Caleb Downs.
Caleb's Downs, safety. They need safeties as well.
I'm not saying that what you're thinking is wrong.
I just think here's the thing. When I look at all these players that Caleb Downs, right, or Reuben Bain, when I compare them to Reese, I feel like his ceiling is higher than the other two.
Okay.
I think they get more of a impact player than the other two.
Okay.
As of right now. And I think that's what they're looking for. I think they have. I get it. You're giving up to. I feel like they're going to have to give up to both their 9 and 29. I think that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
To move up. I just feel like they're gonna. To me, it feel like they're trying to make an impact move, and that Reese is more impactful than the other people that they could get later on. And now, could those people grow into what they want them to be? Sure, but I think Reese is more pro ready than the other two that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. So what if So based upon the trade, like there's a value chart in case you didn't know this, Eric,
Hmm.
that Jimmy Johnson made famous back in the 90s. And the third pick is valued at a 2,200 points scale effectively. And the ninth pick is 1350. The 29th pick is 640. And their number 40th pick was a 500. So I think they could hold on to that 29th pick and just use the second round pick, and then potentially like flip flop third round picks or something where they can still get value but still give a better pick. I think, for example, if they give up their fourth round pick, let me see here because I think they have multiple fourths in Arizona. No, they don't. So if they give up their fourth round pick to move back to like the beginning of the fifth round, that could make
Hmm.
sense. Or you could look at them potentially trading future picks because they are going to get a few compensatory picks in the next couple of years. But
So you're
my
saying like you're saying if they trade their ninth and like a second round pick would make more ideal beneficial to the Chiefs? Is that what you're telling me?
correct, because then that also lets them keep that
The
29th pick,
29th pick, which will just work in their favor. I mean, yeah.
which I think kind of like on the lines of Aaron, where the Cardinals could look to trade back in to the end of the first round to take a quarterback and get that fifth year option. That's important on
Hmm.
quarterbacks. It's not as important on other positions.
Positions.
And so like they value the 34th pick of Arizona at 560 and that 29th pick at 640. And so maybe giving up that plus their fourth round pick, which is like an 86 points, puts them
Hmm.
on par to get them moved up to that spot. So give up, flip your two for that one, move back 5 spots, pick up a fourth round pick effectively, and then they get their quarterback. And so I think, like I said, they go defense here first and then pick up a quarterback who could potentially still do the same thing that we're talking about with Mendoza
Hmm.
and sitting behind a Jacoby Brissett, who right now currently isn't even going to show up to OTAs because he wants to be paid like a starting quarterback, at least for the season. Makes sense. So. All right. Well, talking about quarterbacks and wanting to get paid like a starter, we have one next that is a starting quarterback that we assume is going to be there for the next couple of years. And that's Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. I personally think they're going to take Jeremiah Love. They've been tied to Jeremiah Love, it seems, through the entire draft process. I don't think personally he gets over 4. So if somebody wants Jeremiah Love, they're going to have to trade up to come get him, which that does bode well for your conversation, Eric, of potentially trading out of that pick, but for the Cardinals, that is. But who do you guys think that the Tennessee Titans take? Aaron?
I think I agree with Jeremiah Love.
Okay.
Uh, I have one of two scenarios because it kind of plays into the at least the top 10 of whether or not one of these things happens. Uh, Scenario one, which I'm really honestly like kind of 50-50 about it, but is yet one of those being yes, they take Jeremiah Love to give Cam Ward some help,
Hmm.
but also it's who their coach is why I'm leaning this second way. Um, and is player that you've already mentioned being Sonny Styles,
Yep.
linebacker out of Ohio State. Um, Once we get further into our picks, I'll explain the Sonny Styles Jeremiah Love dichotomy, like
Go ahead.
on that one, to where someone may trade up for Sonny Styles if, in fact, Tennessee does not take him at 4,
Okay.
and they go Jeremiah Love instead.
Okay. Who do you think the right pick is?
I think the right pick's Jeremiah Love personally. I think they need more help on offense.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Because I mean, obviously, like Cam Ward needs help, and yes, I mean, I'm always a defense wins championship guys, but if you got to put points up on the board too, though, and
You're not
Like
wrong.
it's hard. I feel like it's hard to pass. I feel like Jeremiah Love would do more for that team than Sonny Styles would at this moment in time.
So in the last decade, there's been like 6 running backs that have been taken in the top 10. Only one of them, their team has a positive winning record since they were drafted.
Saquon.
Nope.
Oh,
This is Jeremiah. Jameer Gibbs.
There you go. It's
Jameer
Jameer
Yeah,
Gibbs.
Gibbs. Yeah.
it's Jameer Gibbs. I was like, I know this one because I don't know
I
why, but
forgot about Gibby.
I
John
talked
John is
about it.
gonna
I
John's
talked
gonna
about it.
flame me for that.
We'll see if he
I
gets
knew
this deep in the
something. Hold
episode.
on. I knew something. Wow, I'm impressed with
Good job,
myself.
Eric. We'll give you your gold star. Producer Brendan, go ahead and put a gold star on Eric's page from now on. Uh, so I agree that Jeremiah Love can be an impact player. I
Yeah.
don't, I think this is the spot somebody who, like a Washington, like a Kansas City, maybe even a Dallas, um, Baltimore would be interesting. You could trade up and see a good team that has an opportunity to do something, try to
Yeah.
get to a great level.
Hmm.
But I don't think Tennessee will trade out of it, which is the problem.
I
But
mean,
they kind of
you'd have to give him a sweet deal. I mean,
you would. You have to
it's
overpay for that number. It is what it is.
yeah.
But just like with the Raiders, just like with the Cardinals, they have a lot of holes and they
Hmm.
need to fix a lot of them.
Hmm.
Running backs typically don't fix it, especially when 3 of your holes are on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And
No.
so, like, I think we're closer to Ashton Genty with Jeremiah Love in that spot than we would be a Jameer Gibbs or even to some effect a Bijan Robinson. Saquon had a good second year. He didn't have a great first year, if I remember correctly.
Well,
Um, but
Bijan didn't even have a great first year,
Bijan,
honestly.
Bijan, well, he had a decent amount of yards, I think.
He
Not a lot
did.
of touchdowns.
No.
And it was not a very good average, if I
Yeah.
remember correct.
Yeah,
So,
you're right.
um,
It's just not a good track record for first round running backs to make an massive impact on a
not at
team.
all. Not at all, not at all. So, all right, well, we'll do the next team. We'll do both their picks because they have 2 top 10 picks, and that's the New York Giants. All right. And so you got to do a little bit of legwork here, get your 6, 7, 8, nines in order effectively. But I think what we see here is the Giants go offensive line first with Francis Muiaga and or Muanawa or whatever, however you say the gentleman's name from Miami. And then number 10, I think they go. I honestly think they're going to probably trade down out of that and pick up more picks even. But I think they go with a wide receiver there. If Carnell Tate's available, I don't think he gets past Kansas City, to be completely honest with you. But I could see them going Makai Lemon here or Jordan Tyson, whoever they have higher on their board. I personally have Makai Lemon slightly higher just from the injury issues um, at 10. And so I would say they go Muiaga at 5 and Makai Lemon at 10. Eric, I think you're up.
Oh, I am. Oh, I thought I went first last. My bad. Because they need receivers, guards, linebackers, safeties. I'm trying to remember who their team is. I can't. Who's their quarterback?
Jackson Dart, Malik
Jackson
Jackson
Dart.
Dart.
Neighbors,
I like
and Cam
neighbors.
Chattanooga.
Oh man.
And they just traded Dexter Lawrence for that 10th overall pick to the Bengals. So they don't have Dexter Lawrence. Kayvon Thibodeau is no longer in with the Jets as well. I believe he's in Dallas now.
Yeah. I mean, I think the right pick is for, I don't know. I feel like Francis will probably go. I think I agree with you, but I honestly think looking at the talent that's there because of what their needs are. And I feel just me, but I feel like there's a lot of what they need. There's a lot of it. There's a big pool of it. Um, so I feel like to me, this is. I feel like they might drop back even out of their 5 and 10.
I think
I
they
don't know
keep
if
one of them, but you're not wrong. I like
get more picks. I mean, they're not. They're a little weird because they have holes, but they don't have as many holes as the Raiders and the Cardinals do. Like they
I think
have.
they're a pretty bad team personally, but I'm a little biased.
You're biased because they're. Yeah, you're biased. So
I
I think
reckon
they have. I think they have some talent in their in key positions. Okay.
sure.
So I think Francis probably go, but I also think that they might trade out of 5. So
And their 10th pick?
their 10th pick, if Carnell Tate's still there, Carnell Tate, or yeah, it's one of they'll take a receiver. I
Okay.
mean,
That's fair. I mean I made you do 4 picks later without doing the 4 picks, so it's a little
no,
hard.
you're fine. I just yeah, you're fine.
Aaron, who you got?
So I have a couple scenarios again because, like I said, some of the things that I've thought through. So on the one that I mentioned prior, if Tennessee does take Sonny Styles and not Jeremiah Love, I can see the Giants taking Jeremiah Love because they're like, he's still on the board, another offensive weapon for Jackson Dart. Take Jeremiah Love if he's there. I feel like that would be a good pick for them. If not, they could always go receiver, like you guys said. I don't know if that's more of a likely scenario, but a scenario nonetheless that I've wanted to potentially paint.
Side note, I'm following the Lakers game as we're talking, and I'm very sorry about this. LeBron, with 5:05 left in the fourth quarter, just got fouled and threw it up behind his head and bank shot it in a free throw. Like it didn't count for anything, but it was just like that was what my face was about. So I'm very sorry.
No, you're good. Um, a
Uh,
more likely scenario here, I feel like they focus more on their defense with this first pick. I think they do keep both of their 5 and their 10.
Okay.
So I can give you their 5 and their 10 if you'd like. I think they go safety here and go Caleb Downs
At 5.
at
Wow.
5. Um, I think they do still go after uh, Francis and they go for him at 10. And part of the reason I say that is because I feel like this is going to be the following pick is I believe that there will potentially be a trade between the Browns and the Cowboys
Okay.
in which the Browns, who would then be picking 12th instead of 6th, would take Caden Proctor instead of Francis at 6.
That'd be high for Caden Proctor, even as much as I like him. But uh for history notes, do you know the last safety taken in the top 5?
I do not.
It was Eric
mm-mm.
Berry.
Eric Berry. So what was that? 2010.
10.
Yeah.
Yep.
But again, just some fun potential scenarios.
I mean, I think he has the talent for that. Absolutely. I don't
If
disagree
they
with that.
like, most likely, if they don't go Caleb Downs, they probably will go Carnell Tate and get Jackson Dart help. I'll go opposite Malik Neighbors, have a nice 1-2 punch there.
And I tell you
Change the
what,
scenario.
having the receiver, the corners that we have in Philly with, Q and now Reek and Coop, I think that like that doesn't scare me as much, which is why I honestly wouldn't worry about it there. I think a Casey Concepcion or a Chris Bell or one of those guys that were fringing first round, early second round guys will fit just fine in that role comparatively. I think Q is going to be the best corner in the league this year. Maybe sans PS2. And I think even then, I think you can argue that he was better than Pat Surtain this year, and will continue to do that. I think having Reek as the two across from him is going to potentially see him get challenged more, though. So maybe those numbers will dip. I don't know. We'll see. But I think with the Cowboys specifically, I know you brought them up. I think they are going to look at defense, and corner is one of their needs. And so, like
Hmm.
a Mansour Delane or a Gerard McCoy, those guys are going to be opportunities that they have out there for them at that 12th pick. If they don't trade for like the sixth pick, like you're talking about, that would be smart from the Browns' perspective, and we can move into
It
the
would.
Browns here too. What? Sorry.
No, I was saying the reason I was saying that too is if making that trade basically with Dallas, so they would be trade Dallas would be trading 12 and 20 for Cleveland 6 and 39, which would give Cleveland 3 first round picks. And then again, they could always move off one of those other three. But if I mean they like a lot of other teams have a lot of holes to fill, they could also get a lot of value out of those 3 first round picks.
Yeah, no, they definitely could, and I think they should. Uh, I think one of the teams with the most holes, at least on the offensive side, is definitely Cleveland. Their defense is really good, but I don't know how much of that was their defensive talent versus like Jim Schwartz. So we'll see a
Yeah.
lot of that this year too. Um, so if so, you already have them trading the sixth pick, and you said that the Cowboys take Proctor.
No.
Oh, okay,
Uh so remember when I first stated with Tennessee taking either Jeremiah Love or Sonny Styles.
right.
If they take Jeremiah Love, the
Hold on.
Titans,
Do we have the same thing? Keep going.
if they don't, if they do take Jeremiah Love, then Dallas makes that trade because they want Sonny Styles.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay. And then, so then they would trade up and get Sonny Styles probably because they think he might not be there at 12.
No.
Sonny Styles definitely won't be there at 12. You don't have
And
to worry about
that's
that.
what I'm saying. So basically at that point they trade up and
So
then go ahead, Eric.
no, it's just funny because I still have Sunny Styles on my board of how I've picked, and I literally was thinking that whole scenario before he even spoke it out. I just think it's hilarious because I think I when I'm looking at the Browns, and yeah, they need offensive, but I feel like they can get more picks and they can make up for it later in the round for wide receivers and other things that they need.
They
I
need
don't
all
think.
the cost controlled fucking contracts they can have. That's nine, by the way. Uh, because they are paying $45 million to a quarterback they hope to not play.
Yeah, but that's fine.
And like I said, I think it would be beneficial for both teams. Dallas did have the least effective defense per their EPA. Um, so
And they will again. They're not
I
very good
mean,
at defense.
right, but at least that will fill, I think, a good need for them. And then also, like I said, Cleveland gets a lot of help from that
For
trading
sure.
down 6 spots, and they still get an offensive lineman that they could be pretty high on. I know you said that may still be too high for Caden Proctor, but
I think they're going to try to figure out if they have their quarterback this year in Cleveland. And so I don't necessarily, I think not, I think trading down is a solid idea. Uh, at the end of the day, does 12, 20, and 24 get you further than a generational talent at 6. And so I think they go Carnell Tate here, from Ohio State. And so it doesn't have to go very far from Cleveland, from Columbus to Cleveland, and is okay with being the guy or not being the guy. And so that allows you to still remain flexible next season, trying to add a number one receiver, but then also potentially letting him grow into that opportunity. You could even look to potentially double up later in the draft because you have picked 39. I think there's going to be a good receiver there. Why don't you just try to load up with as many good talents on offense that you can to try to see what Shador is? That's just my thoughts on it. So, and hey, maybe Deshaun Watson has a resurgence and it's not about Shador. I don't think that's going to be the case. Once a rapist, always a rapist, and that doesn't make you better at football. Unless you ask Ben Roethlisberger. But all right, so number 7, Cleveland or Washington. Who do you guys have going here?
I believe this one's me. This is where I have Carnell Tate going.
Okay. Eric?
Um, yeah.
This is where I would have Carnell Tate going, but I give the Giants 10, so I really can't go back on that.
My
I
other pick would be
can.
Mansour Delane,
My
potentially, the cornerback from LSU.
I probably just I think they go receiver, and
I do too.
if Carnell Tate's not there, I think they go Lemon.
I think they go Jordan Tyson. They like to risk things like that. I mean, Jaden Daniels was a walking injury risk as well. Uh, if you think
Jordan
about it,
Tyson.
I think Jaden Daniels came from Arizona State before LSU as well. And so there is some familiarity there. Now, granted, I know Tyson didn't start there, but that's that's an opportunity for them to have a familiarity and a chemistry from even just being able to talk about, Dillingham and Arizona State and things of that nature. I imagine also they have some kind of rapport. I know Daniels goes back to Arizona State, or not Arizona State, LSU than he does Arizona State, but I know he's also gone back. So that would be my pick. I don't, whether it's the right pick or not, at this point, it's kind of hard to tell you, but I think that's where they would be. And so that leads us into number 8, which is New Orleans. And I have them taking Ruben Bain Jr.
Same.
I also have them taking Ruben Payne.
Well, it sounds like that's the right pick. We don't really need to talk about it. They have a lot of needs too. Defense is
Mhm.
definitely a high-end need. I could see them trading back. I'm really big on Jadarian Prince, who is the second back out of Notre Dame. I think he's going to be like a Derrick Henry-esque type. He's a bigger back that likes to bruise. And so I think that fits the kind of mold of Kellen Moore's offense, but not at number 8. He's a later first round pick, if not an early second round pick. And so I think they might try to find a way to get back in to get him late and maybe use pick 42 to get there. Number 9, they didn't have to trade up. They didn't have to do anything. The Chiefs get David Bailey. Because remember, I haven't had him taken yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with Karlaftis and Chris Jones, you have the opportunity to be able to utilize David Bailey as a third down back, as a third down edge rusher. I think you don't have to then worry about if he can play the run or not. And I also think you have the right pieces in place, whether it's Spags, Chris Jones, Karlaftis, um, Nick Bolton, any of those guys can help to teach the run. And that's the biggest concern I have with David Bailey is his ability to play the run. He is solely a pass rusher. And also, I think if there's one team that could constantly be in a pass rush, it's the Chiefs because we expect their offense to be better than it was at the end of last year. They hopefully. And so if that were the case, then they should be moving the ball more. The other team should be playing from behind more, should be throwing the ball more. You can keep a player like David Bailey on the field longer. And so everybody else above them, I think they're going to be not necessarily in negative game scripts, but they're going to be trying to run the ball. And they're also going to be ran on a lot. The Chiefs aren't going to necessarily be ran on a lot. Um, and so we'll see what happens. That's who I have there. So who do you guys got?
I'm
Um,
trying. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Eric.
I'm trying to keep track of all my trades that I've done in my head because I think I have Cardinals here, and I think they're going to take. If this happens, they're going to take Francis at 9
Okay.
because I still have Francis on my board.
And then Aaron?
For me, if the Giants, like I said before, don't take a receiver and Carnell Tate at 5 and take Caleb Downs, then I see if they do take Caleb Downs, I see them going Jordan Tyson from Arizona State.
Yep.
If Caleb Downs is still on the board, I see them going Caleb Downs here to reinforce their secondary after losing McDuffie.
I don't hate that pick. I think it's a good pick. Again, we look at high end safeties that are taken. They were the last team to take a high end safety. They know what they're doing. Granted, different regime, but Eric Berry was an excellent player for quite a long time. So I would trust Caleb Downs in that defense. I think it instantly makes their run defense better. Caleb Downs was excellent in run support. He plays the coverage well as well. He's a high IQ guy. And I think when you're looking at this portion of the draft, whether it's whether you want to start it at 9, you want to start it at 10, you got to start really finding guys that are going to fit your mold and also have high IQ. And so I think he fits that for sure. And because of how great of a player he is, it doesn't really matter. The first 8 teams could have also have taken him, and it would have made sense for what they need. And so it's not like, the Chiefs are special in that regard. I just I have a hard time taking that position this early. I would like, if they wanted to, you could probably see them trading 29 and 40 to get up to like where Baltimore is maybe, or Tampa, and taking him there if they do decide to go edge rusher at 9 and he's still on the board. Similar to what like the Eagles did with Cooper DeJean a couple years ago, where he was still on the board at like 40 or whatever, and they traded up a few picks to get there. I think you could see something similar happen. So, all right. Well, that's our top 10. Now we got to talk about the Eagles real quick, the Seahawks real quick, and the Patriots real quick because they made the Super Bowl. Let's go ahead and start with your Seahawks because I feel like the other two are pretty well linked. Eric,
Why are we going to start with my Seahawks?
because the other two are pretty well linked. It's like I said it.
Go ahead. What do you want?
Who do you want to take here? What hole do you want to fill? The Boye Mafe hole, the Reek Wolin hole, the Kobe Bryant hole, the Kenneth Walker hole.
I think we need to fill the Kenneth Walker hole.
Okay.
Boy, do I got the pick for you.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Give me yours and then I'll tell you mine.
Let's see. I did not have this ready.
You knew what we were talking about. How do you not have it ready?
This one I must have missed that part. That's my bad. That's on me. I didn't. No, that's completely on me. I didn't. I did not know you were asking me about what my team was going to pick. That's on me.
We're talking about picks in the draft.
I understand that, and I thought we were only talking about top 10. That's on me. I said it. It's on me.
Well, I'll go ahead and go. I think you go ahead and fill the Kenneth Walker hole and go the Notre Dame route and get Jadarian Price.
That's right. Price, not Prince. I've called him Prince this whole show. Price. Jadarian Price would be a good pick here. I agree with that.
Because you have the fewest selections. Obviously, you have 4 in this whole draft. So you need high impact and I feel like this is a good hole to fill.
That being said, I also think you trade out of it to get more picks. I don't think having four picks in the draft is tenable.
I will say because it's kind of correlated. Um, when I said Arizona would trade up, um, one of two spots. One was going to be the Seahawks. The other one, which I was more confident in, was them trading up into my team's original spot of 30, which is now Miami's.
Yep.
But I have Arizona trading up to the number 30 spot for Miami and taking Ty Simpson, or they trade up to 32 and do the same thing. But either they trade the Seahawks or they potentially trade the Miami Denver pick.
Another good pick here for you guys would be defensive tackle, Caden McDonald. He's a solid player. Plays the run really well. He'd play really strongly next to Byron.
Yeah.
And so that would be you'd be able to allow him to still rush the passer like he likes to do and what he's really good at, while still having somebody next to him that doesn't necessarily have to rush the passer. He does still have the ability to rush, but he plays the run really well. So I would say Caden McDonald's also a good pick here if Jadarian Price is not available. Um, I can
My
see Jadarian going as high as 18 to Minnesota. So
my other two selections, if you'd like, are Emmanuel McNeil Warren, the safety from Toledo.
that's a solid pick.
Um, I feel like that's a good fit for him. The other one, staying with the secondary, is going Chris Johnson, the cornerback from San Diego State,
Also, really good
to
pick.
replace Reek Woolen.
He's got
Yeah.
excellent feet. Excellent feet. Chris Johnson does. I love that dude. He's a very good player. I was hoping he would slide down in the second round, and be like a depth piece for us this year learning because I like him too. There's no way I'm going to get Emmanuel McNeil Warren later in the draft either. He's going to go before he will go by 40, which is the Chiefs' next pick. Like that's if they don't take downs at 9 and they still need a safety, he is 100% the guy I would fit that role with. He's about 85% of Caleb Downs with about 95% of his IQ. Dude's a stud.
So yeah, in that order, I would go Price, Johnson, McNeil Warren, probably. Price for sure at one, and then the other two are kind
Yeah.
of interchangeable. But so assuming if Price is available, I think they take him. If he's not, I think they focus secondary.
You could also see them try to go for a little bit of offensive line help.
That's true.
I know the
Yeah.
line
We do need
okay,
some. Yeah.
but
It's all right. It's just we have a health issues sometimes.
yep. And it's I mean,
Our backups aren't the greatest, but
and especially with us, like again, I think you guys are going to trade out of the pick somehow.
I
Uh,
think the more I'm thinking of it, I feel like I I think we might trade out of it back and gain more picks.
I think you have to because I think this might be one of those drafts where you're like, why did we trade out again? Why did we trade down again? Why did we trade down again? Um, just so you can keep accumulating those picks, whether it's for this year or next year. Because what's happening now is that you're going to be paying, JSN $40 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Darnold's going to want 40 to $50 million a year when it's time for him to renew. Are you guys
Byron's
going to
up.
continue? Byron's up. Exactly. You ran into this issue in Madden. You're like, I can't pay everybody. Part of your issue is that you went and paid AJ Brown too, but that's a whole different issue. Um, it's so like there is a
Mm,
point where money becomes a question, and
yeah.
having the ability to have cost controlled players is huge. And so I absolutely think you guys trade down here. Um, I think the Eagles are a trade up candidate, but only in the right circumstance. What I mean by that is if Kenyon Sadiq falls to like 16 or 17 before Carolina picks specifically, I could see
Hmm.
the Eagles trading into that spot and taking him to be Dallas Goedert's replacement. There is a hole there inside of the offense. We got rid of Grant Calcaterra this year, brought in a couple guys. We also brought in Sean Mannion as our offensive coordinator. And if you remember anything about the Packers, is that they like to run 2 and 3 tight end sets almost exclusively. And so having a second tight end, even if it is a burner like Kenyon Sadiq, that's a great option. I like the pick. I don't necessarily know if we would go as high as like the Rams, where he's been projected a couple times. Um, the 13. We never will make a trade with Dallas in that regard, or they won't make it with us. And I think Miami's request would be a little bit too rich. And so that's kind of what gives me the idea. I also think Baltimore and Tampa could take him themselves. So it's what I would want. But if we don't do that, I think we look at Emmanuel McNeil Warren at 23 or Dylan Tinnaman or out of Oregon, or we look at Omar Cooper Jr. Those would be the guys that I'd kind of target in that 20s area. Omar Cooper Jr. is basically just a little AJ Brown. And so if we potentially are losing AJ Brown, which is the next topic that we will talk about, uh, I I think replacing him with a player like that who could also still sit behind a Hollywood Brown, sit behind a Dontavian Wicks, it works. So what say you? Either of you.
For the Eagles.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um, my options are either Denzel Boston, receiver from Washington, or you get an offensive tackle in Blake Miller from Clemson.
I don't like taking that there.
Or there's Spencer Fano, if that's how you pronounce his last name, from
I would be okay
Utah.
with that.
Um, I know some drafts have him going a little bit higher, but it's kind of a wishy-washy. I think it's was it a injury like a foot for him, unless I'm thinking of someone else potentially. I'd have to double check that.
I
I
do.
don't remember what his concerns were.
So I'm pretty sure Fano was Utah's left tackle. I would personally go Cam Lomo because what we would be doing in that regard is replacing Lane Johnson
You said
and
Caleb Lomo
Caleb
or
Lomo. Yeah, sorry.
Lomu or what? Yeah,
Lomu. Yeah,
yeah.
but that would be the guy I would go after. In that spot, I think that might be a little high, so we could probably trade down and still get him. But here's the thing, I'd be okay with that too. We do need to start looking at the future without Lane Johnson. Do I think Fred Johnson's the answer? No, I do not. But I think he could be a serviceable replacement for a year if we don't take a high end offensive tackle this year. So I also there's a little part of me that wants to see what Cam Williams out of Texas, we drafted him in the 6th round last year, what he can try to turn into. He's a 20-year-old, 385 pounds, 6'7" tackle. So if he can translate, that would be great. The problem is we haven't been able to get him healthy and in shape. So
And the reason I said Blake Miller is knowing that he will fill your snap needs
hmm.
you can fill him
at right tackle. In
So,
college, he played 3,500 snaps. So
well, there you go. What about you, Eric? Do you have any thoughts on what the Eagles should do at 23?
Mm, I I just was messing with my board here. I ended up with Monroe Freeling from Georgia, offense tackle, changing. We're kind of replacing Lane Johnson eventually.
That's not a bad pick. I just feel like it's a little high for Freeling. I
It
have him.
is high. It felt right, kind of, because I was just kind of thinking of Lane Johnson. I was like, he's still there. It's just you got to start thinking about it. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
there's not a lot. I mean, I hate to say it, there's not a lot of gaps you got to fill in your team. There is, but there's not as much as most teams because
Our gaps are like gaps that we have to fill for next year. Like we're trying to
yes.
preemptively fill them. The only one that I really see is a safety issue because we lost Reed Blankenship and we didn't really have a second safety after Coobs went down last year. And so like we get Makuba back from his ankle injury. That's one of our safeties. We need another one. So like that's why I would go Emmanuel McWarren, Neil McWarren,
McNeil Warren.
McNeil Warren, whatever it was. Um,
Or
One, because he played with Q at Toledo. Him and you would be reuniting the both of them.
yeah.
That'd be a really good spot.
Hmm.
And so, like, I think that's on the board. It depends on what their grade is of them. So
Or if
now
you want
let's
to go receiver wise, you could take Zechariah.
no, he got arrested last week.
He got arrested last week. I mean, he fits well with you guys. I'm just kidding.
I don't know. My guys didn't get arrested. You got to remember that. They got tickets. They weren't arrested. All right.
Yeah.
All right. It's clear there. All right. So
That
let's go to
was
the Eagles' second first round pick, which is the New England Patriots 31st overall pick. I think sneakily, this is what could happen, guys. I think the Eagles could trade A.J. Brown after June 1st, but still be in charge of this pick. And just tell New England who they want to have picked, and that's who gets put into the trade. That way, it doesn't look like they're giving up a bunch of capital for A.J. Brown. It looks better. They still end up getting a pick for next year, and they get a player that they wanted this year. So I could see like a Monroe Freeling going there. One,
okay.
they
I
also
see.
hate offensive tackle because they have T-Rex arms Will Campbell. And, if that doesn't work out for that, like if they don't decide to keep that pick and they want to trade it, they want to keep it, whatever they want to do, then it still works for them. So I know that's me. Here's the AJ Brown stuff. And you guys don't really have to give any input if you don't want to. I have personal feelings on AJ Brown. It's well documented on this specific show how I feel about Jalen Hurts. I think that's been well documented. I think he's a winner, but I don't know how much talent he actually brings. If he's the needle mover at this point, if he even moved the needle in the Super Bowl season, I'm not really sure. That year before the season started, I was anti Jalen Hurts. I wanted to suck for Bryce Young. And I kind of think the Eagles are making a mistake. I think we're trading the wrong player, or potentially, I guess we should say, potentially trading the wrong player. One, it's going to cost us $42 million to trade A.J. Brown, whether it's this year and next year through a post-June 1 release, whether it's this year alone if we trade him pre-June 1 during the draft. It's going to cost us, I think, like $59 million to get rid of Jalen Hurts. Who's the problem here? Because I don't think it's A.J. Brown. I have a hard time believing the guy who's been had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons for the Eagles is the issue when the quarterback throws it 26 times a game. So, like, it's not A.J. Brown's fault that Jalen Hurts is going 21 for 27 for 112 yards. That's not his fault. He's run. Now you can say it's the route tree he runs in the route combinations he's getting from, play calling.
That's
Sure.
where I was.
But
I was gonna ask you that. It's like, how much is that Jalen's fault though, as well?
Um,
because and I'm just gonna be blunt about it. I mean, your play calling was ass last year.
oh, for sure.
I mean, it's like it literally was a Madden book. Like you just had AJ Brown play, Saquon play, Jalen Hurts play. Like
Bro, we
it
didn't
was.
even have that. And
I
that's
just
part
felt
of the
like
problem.
it was very one. Each play you set up was very one dimensional. It did not include options. Like it was
It was a high school offense.
very much.
It,
So
and
how
honestly, with
how
me
much?
going to look to be a high school football coach right now, it's less than a high school offense.
And that's where I get it. Is like how much does that play against on Jalen? So is it really on Jalen?
Who's in charge on that field when they go out?
Jalen, true, Jalen. I
And
understand.
the problem is that like whether it's the coaches not trusting him or whether it's him not being able to do it, he doesn't play the intermediate game. Throws 11 to 20 yards, he virtually doesn't touch them, and anything inside the hash marks has to be wide open for him to throw it.
I agree with you.
And and so like it's when you don't utilize 60% of the field, I tend to not think it's the guy's fault that is calling plays unless he doesn't know how to call intermediate plays. And that could be a case too, but then that goes into what has AJ Brown been best at? It's slants and go balls. He's not running either of those really. And then I think he did lose a little bit of a step last year, but not enough of a step that a good quarterback couldn't get him the ball. If he was with Patrick Mahomes for the first 12 games last year, I think he would have had 1,500 yards. Like, I
Mm-mm.
firmly believe that A.J. Brown is a top five receiver in this league, and he's not five.
Mm-mm.
That's a callback for Aaron, by the way. But, I just, I,
No, I
I
see what you're coming from.
I struggle losing. Like Howie Roseman says it the best when talking about trading players. He's like, when you trade a player of AJ Brown's caliber, you're losing a player of AJ Brown's caliber. And those players don't come by very often. And we want to have as many good players of football in the building as we possibly can. And losing AJ Brown doesn't make us better.
Yeah, no. I think you could keep AJ and get rid of Jalen.
We won a Super Bowl with AJ reading books on the sideline and being upset about our passing offense. Like we could
Like,
keep them both and probably still prosper.
yeah,
But
but
I
I think you
also
could do
see the
better as
benefit.
quarterback.
We need a better quarterback, but I can see the benefit of also getting rid of the malcontent in the locker room, not having
Yeah,
somebody who's pushing back. But then that goes back to the conversation around Jalen, where you can't tell him that he's doing wrong. And
yeah,
then you can't tell your quarterback he's doing wrong. That was what made the Patriots so good for so long, was that Tom
yeah,
Brady was okay with getting his ass chewed by Bill Belichick. Patrick Mahomes has no problem hearing where he messed up.
yeah.
And so, like, when
Jalen has a problem with that.
Jalen has a problem with that. You know who else had a problem with that? The guy he's comped to all the fucking time. That's 10, I
Yeah,
believe. Russell Wilson.
yeah.
And Carson Wentz, same way allegedly, which then makes me think it's not the quarterback's issue at all, and it's a system issue.
It's just, yeah, because I mean, to be transparent, I feel like the last good, I want to say, you could throw QB. Is it QBR? Is that my right?
That's
Am I
one of
s-
them.
PBR.
What was I saying? Sorry. To me, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but I feel like the last good game Jalen had when it comes to throwing the ball, connecting with his receivers, like he's legitimately a quarterback, not just a running back. That to me, um, was when he lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
No, I mean his Super Bowl win was really, really good. Also, you forget that we beat
Was
we
it better though than? the Super Bowl loss? Because I feel like, like I said, you could tell me I'm wrong, but I just felt like it was more elite throwing wise. I understand ring, yeah, but how much of that was the defense?
I mean, the defense didn't throw
The
the dagger to
defense.
Devontae Smith. The defense didn't throw the touchdown pass to Dallas Goedert. The defense didn't have the 40-yard touchdown run against the Rams in the divisional round. The
Yeah, but
defense didn't score at all against the Commanders in the NFC Championship game when they put up 55 points and were playing their backups in the fourth quarter. Like
that was wasn't that more Saquon though?
Saquon had a good game, but I
A
think
lot of yards.
I think Jalen still had like 160 and two touchdowns. So
Okay.
like but part of his job is reading the run game. And he typically does a good job of that. The
He
other
does.
problem that he had last year was that he didn't run the ball well. Outside of the scramble
Mm-mm.
drills in the first game when he got 3 touchdowns, he didn't run effectively. And when you take away his ability to run or when he runs less, again, very similar to Russell Wilson, as he aged in his career, he
Mm-hmm.
got worse. And
Well,
so
I
the
feel like
last thing I want us to do is Jalen's extension eligible this year. He's got no new money left on his deal after this year. It's all fake money, basically. He's playing for a contract. I better see that result from him, especially if we're getting rid of our number one receiver. Also, if we're going to get rid of our number one receiver, pick 23 has to be a receiver or a tight end or an offensive player that's going to provide skill and depth to this offense because we can't have it be, unfortunately, a backup right tackle. We just can't have it be that right now. We can't have it be a great safety because the defense is already good. If we're getting rid of AJ Brown. So I think
yeah.
what you're going to see in the draft is whatever the Eagles do with their pick, that is a sign of what they're doing with AJ. Because I don't think the number one receiver is on the roster right now unless you think it's Devontae Smith. Again, this is sans AJ Brown. Without AJ Brown, I
Oh,
think
okay.
yeah. Like AJ Brown 100% is a number one. I think
Yeah.
Devontae can be a number one, but like, do you want him to be like he's not going to play the high style, physical in your face guy. He is
No,
definitely
he's
run
a
you off
true
of a route and
slot.
find some space. Yeah. He can play on the outside. It's not that he can't play outside. He just is not a physical player.
Yeah.
He's a finesse guy. And so you're going to try to find him in space. That's why he catches all of those balls that AJ or not AJ, that Jalen does manage to get into the intermediary is because he's the one that gets open. He gets separation, and he's still doing that to this day. That's why he's a Heisman Trophy winner. And so that's my feelings on AJ Brown. I love AJ Brown. Arthur Jawan, he's done a lot of great things for this team.
Arthur
And
Horn.
Arthur won. And I'm gonna be sad if he leaves, when he leaves. And at the end of the day, I think we're trading the wrong player. That's just it. So, anybody else have any closing thoughts?
Nope.
I think I gave my thoughts, Aaron.
Not a top 5 receiver.
Damn.
All right. So, well, on next week's show, we're going to
First
talk about
off-
how AJ Brown is a
first
top 5
off-
wide receiver.
Timeout.
What's up?
Do you have a top 5 receiver?
Oh, yeah. He thinks Jalen
I-
Waddle is going to be a top 5 receiver this year for sure.
Get the fuck out of here.
No.
That's
So he's going to
11, by the
go,
way.
he's going to go Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, JSN, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Puka. I bet that's his top 5.
You talking about Aaron?
Yep.
Okay.
And so you can take the wide receiver that pees on people, and I'll take the guy that just wants the passing game to work, and we'll see what comes out on top. But hey, you got to let us know, guys. Are we crazy or, something else? As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, listen, rate, subscribe, the whole gamut of things. And we'll see you next week. Peace.